But okay. As we know in Book 15, Telemachus has returned to Ithaca. He's finally made it back. Now, we know he brought a friend. We know we have that one seer who's from the line of Melampus who's here, but he's hanging off elsewhere in Ithaca. But we do have Telemachus back. We know that Odysseus is hanging with Eumaeus, our amazing Tholos, our swineherd, who's kind of more than your average Tholos. I mean, we learned his entire backstory. That is a question. Is it murder if it's literally sanctified by this? That's true. That question does get asked. Um, we know that Eumaeus had been born essentially to a seemingly noble or royal family, but he got involved in getting as a like child, like a toddler or whatever, being kidnapped by pirates due to a disloyal maid. But he got purchased again by Laertes. He was brought in and treated almost like one of the family, kind of as you would say like if you look at the later medieval histories, basically holding each other's children for ransom to ensure somebody's good behavior in a way. But he was treated extremely well. He was raised beside Ctemene, who is Odysseus' sister. So he has known the family, been extremely close to the family. So it's why part of why we love Eumaeus. It also explains why he's so loyal. He's been treated extremely well, and adds to why them saying that Odysseus, treated his own subjects like a father does his children. Where is he learning that from? He's learning that from Laertes and Anticlea, and like seeing their treatment of Eumaeus and others. So that probably goes to track that he was probably a generally good king, given that was his example. Anyway, so we know Telemachus is on his way to Eumaeus, where we also know Odysseus is. So the reunion is coming fast. Coming in this book. Okay. Book 16, Father and Son. As dawn came onto the lodge, the king and a loyal swineherd set out breakfast, once they had raked the fire up and gotten the herdsmen off with droves of pigs. And now Telemachus. The howling dogs went nuzzling up around him, not a growl as he approached. From inside, Odysseus noticed the pack's quiet welcome, noticed the light tread of footsteps, too, and turned to Eumaeus quickly, winged a word. Eumaeus, here comes a friend of yours, I'd say. Someone you know, at least. The pack's not barking, must be fawning around him. I can hear his footfall. The words were still on his lips when his own son stood in the doorway there. The swineherd started up, amazed. He dropped the bowls with a clatter. He'd been busy mixing ruddy wine. Straight to the prince he rushed and kissed his face and kissed his shining eyes, both hands, as the tears rolled down his cheeks, as a father brimming with love welcomes home his darling only son in a warm embrace. What pain he's borne for him and him alone, home now in the 10th year from far abroad. So the loyal swineherd hugged the beaming prince. So as if we needed more emphasis of how Eumaeus really is kind of like has been treated like extended family in a way. I mean, the way we have described him, it's everything Odysseus kind of wishes he could be doing in this moment. That is how Eumaeus is behaving and running up to him and hugging this, where he is his dolos. He's technically owned by Telemachus's house and family. But he's running up to him like, this is my kid. But again, Eumaeus was raised essentially beside Ctemene. He's very close with the family, so we're just further driving home how close he is with his family, which again drives into why he's so loyal. Oh, Ruby, you only missed literally like 5 minutes of your favorite chapter. We're just past line 20. Did Athena's disguise change Odysseus' smell since the dog didn't recognize him? Yes. Yes. It could also be that these dogs are young enough they never met Odysseus. We don't really know how old these dogs are. If they never met Odysseus, they wouldn't know his smell, right? Dogs, sadly, only live for so long. Homer be slacking and not saying rosy fingers. But yeah, we just started. Telemachus has just walked in the door of Eumaeus' home. Athena going above and beyond, it's true. He clung for dear life, covering him with kisses, yes, like one escaped from death. Eumaeus wept and sobbed. His words flew from the heart. You're home, Telemachus, sweet light of my eyes. I never thought I'd see you again once you'd shipped to Pylos. Quick, dear boy, come in. Let me look at you. Look to my heart's content. Under my roof, rover home at last. You rarely visit the farm and men these days, always keeping to town, as if it cheered you to see them there. That infernal crowd of suitors. Have it your way, thoughtful Telemachus replied. Dear old man, it's all for you that I've come, to see you for myself and learn the news, whether mother still holds out in the halls, or some other man has married her at last. And Odysseus's bed, I suppose, is lying empty, blanketed now, with filthy cobwebs. Which again, as much as I said, Eumaeus is acting the way Odysseus would want to probably react with his son. We have Telemachus voicing the very fears that Odysseus has had essentially since the underworld. This has been his greatest concern, but we've now put this onto Telemachus. Again, part of Telemachus' journey is this whole maturation, him stepping into his own. So now he's more in line with understanding where Odysseus is coming from, even though he has yet to truly meet him, even though he's about to. But now he's already kind of understanding some of his father's mindset. This is the great fear, right? Surely, the foreman of men responded. She's still waiting there in your halls, poor woman, suffering so. Her life, an endless hardship, wasting away the nights, weeping away the days. With that, he took the bronze spear from the boy, and Telemachus, crossing the stone door-sill, went inside the lodge. As he approached, his father, Odysseus, rose to yield his seat, but the son on his part waved him back. Stay where you are, stranger. I know we can find another seat somewhere here on our farm, and here's the man to fetch it. So Odysseus, Wilson Ragebait, here telemarketing calls Eumaeus grandpa, and Eumaeus takes his sword instead of spear. Fucking sword. Why? It's a spear. It's a fucking spear. It's a spear. Calling him grandpa. I know Mariana is... I'm sure Mariana's got things. It's actually on point. Calling him grandpa? Or the spear/sword thing? Atta. Yeah, which again is sort of, and that's, I know that there are at least many cultures where you use phrases like auntie and grandma and grandpa and all these things as sort of politeness. And this is also driving home, he's just saying old man. Because dear old man, calling him grandpa. I think the reason Fagles doesn't do that doesn't literally translate it as grandpa is he doesn't want to confuse anybody who's reading it. But it's a term of affection, like you are an older individual. So it makes sense, which is endearing for old man, just like Papa was used by Nausicaa. Yeah, exactly. Grandpa takes it a bit far, though. Was them both offering each other the chair, them doing good shows of good Xenia? Yes. This is very good Xenia. Very polite, good manners. Peepaw. Yeah. By the way, Eumaeus is not old. I know, he's like the age of Odysseus and like Hemini, like he's only the age of his parents. So it is kind of interesting he's calling him old. He's not even 30. I'm like, I know he's not that old. Just grandpa's about the closest. It seems so not even 30. Is Eumaeus that young? I would have assumed he was at least over 30. He's more like an uncle. Yeah, uncle would have made more sense to me. Seems so interesting. I always had put him in his 30s, like a little. I put him in basically younger than Odysseus, but older than Hemini, and I'd assumed he was probably in like his early 30s. Well, yeah, I know. I'm like, shit. I'm in my grave. I'm dead. I'm dead to these people. So Odysseus, moving back, sat down once more, and now for the prince, the swineherd strewed a bundle of fresh green brushwood, topped it off with sheepskin, and there the true son of Odysseus took his place. Eumaeus set before them platters of roast meat, left from the meal he'd had the day before. He promptly served them bread, heaped in baskets, mixed their hearty wine in a wooden bowl, then sat down himself to face the king. They reached for the good things that lay at hand, And when they'd put aside desire for food and drink, Telemachus asked his loyal serving men at last, "Old friend, where does this stranger come from? Why did the sailors land him on Ithaca? Who did they say they are? I hardly think he came this way on foot." Same age as Cathemini, more or less. So 30 would make sense at minimum. "You answered him, Eumaeus, loyal swineherd. Here, my boy, I'll tell you the whole true story. He hails from Crete's broad land, he's proud to say, but claims he drifted round through countless towns of men roaming the earth, and so a god spun out his fate. He just now broke away from some Theosprotian ship and came to my farm. I'll put him in your hands. You tend him as you like. He counts on you, he says, for care and shelter." "Shelter? Oh, Eumaeus," Telemachus replied, "that word of yours, it cuts me to the quick. How can I lend the stranger refuge in my house? I'm young myself, I can hardly trust my hands to fight off any man who rises up against me. Then my mother's wavering, always torn two ways, whether to stay with me and care for the household, true to her husband's bed, the people's voice as well, or leave at long last with the best man in Achaea, who courts her in the halls, who offers her the most." Which, to be fair, he's only feeling like this because we know that Athena played that trick. So that little thing that Athena did to get Telemachus' ass in gear is still sitting in the back of his mind. And again, Telemachus is mostly voicing all of the fears that Odysseus himself has had, basically since the underworld visit. Di Benedetto has the calculations back in some notes, if I ever get out of the pit. True, yeah. Was Telemachus' use of the term any man versus all those men meant to show some lingering lack of confidence? Yeah, it could be a little lingering lack of confidence. He's also, he knows better than anyone that he's not in a good position to be fighting all these guys. Because he's going to have this conversation. He's going to ask his dad, like, what do you mean we're going to fight all 108 of them? We're just two. Like, he knows if you fight one, the rest will follow. So if he tries to take even one, he's kind of dooming himself in the process. Because he's like, me one versus 108? Those are obscene odds. Who do you think I am? Heracles? Do you think I'm Diomedes? Like, come on now. And he has, as far as we can tell, been reasonably untested. While he has obviously trained and learned to fight and to hold his own, he's not had the chance to kind of show these skills off because he is the only heir and he's been stuck on Ithaca. He hasn't been able to go off and do things because right about the time he probably would have started doing that in his mid to late teens, the frickin' suitors showed up. So then what's he gonna do, right? I can barely raise my hands to fight off, and this is meant that he can't fight even a 1v1. No, he could fight a 1v1, but he'd never get a 1v1. It would never happen. He has no chance to fight a 1v1 because the suitors are a mass. They're not really a single individual. They are a mass. They are a group. He's like, I can't fight one because all the rest will join. It's an impossible fight. Yeah, bad timing. It's really unfortunate. Like, about the time it'd be like, maybe go on some hunts, go participate in games and do all these things, the suitors rolled up. Right about the time we'll say that he was 16, 17, when he should have kind of been heading out to do these things. He pretty much had to stay home because his home was threatened. So, yeah, it's one versus a mob. He'd never get a 1v1. It's also considering the fact to be like, there's no honor among thieves. There's no honor among these suitors. So you would not be able to trust them to honor a 1v1. You can't. He'd be rushed. Yeah, exactly. Pawns off the stranger to his lord. Great. Hopefully he's house trained. Yeah, I know. Eumaeus is like, look, he's all yours. And Telemachus is like, have you seen my house? But our new guest, since he's arrived at your house, I'll give him a shirt and cloak to wear, good clothing, give him a two-edged sword and sandals for his feet, and send him off wherever his heart desires. Or if you'd rather keep him here at the farmstead, send to him here, and I'll send up the clothes and full rations to keep the man in food. He'll be no drain on you and all your men. But I can't let him go down and join the suitors. They're far too abusive, reckless, no limits. They'll make a mockery of him. That would break my heart. It's hard for a man to win his way against a mob, even a man of iron. They are much too strong. Part of, he at least, which puts them, yeah, which does put them even lower than Paris. He at least would duel in some sort. Yeah, but I would say, yeah, Telemachus would sort of get the chance to duel, and even like he's probably had sparring matches, but he hasn't been able to really go out and show his mettle. Jorge saw the line and dialed it to 100. Yeah, he did, and especially this bit. It's no way for a man to win against a mob. And it's even here, like, part of why he doesn't want to bring Odysseus is because he knows they're going to reflect such bad Xenia. Like, I don't want a guest treated in such a way as they will treat him, because we already know the suitors are trash. All of them. Blanket statement. They're all trash. And he's like, why would I subject a person who's coming, and I want to give good Xenia and I will do my best, but like, why would I subject them to that? The suitors are worse than Paris? For real, though. I mean, they are. I would say they're as bad as. Who taught Telemachus to fight? Well, we did know that Mentor was kind of put in charge of the prince's education. Mentor would have been able to fight. And there would have been other adult males on Ithaca who could have taught him to fight. Older gentlemen, because it was just sort of standard. You would know how to hold a sword, how to hold a spear. So we do know he has clearly gotten an education with the spear, with the sword, and all of these things. It would have been sort of blanket part of his education. Mentor, we do know, was sort of put in place to kind of help run things and sort of take care of Telemachus, at least in terms of that aspects of education. So it likely was someone like Mentor, but there could have been others as well. But a good question. Agnes? Somebody spray bottle Agnes. Do it now. Oh, the suitors are awful. They can be quite stupid. Every now and then they have these moments where you're like, oh shit. Because they can be... It's not that they're stupid. They are conniving. They are malicious and conniving. Which I think in some ways gives them a leg up on Paris, just in terms of smarts, but like that's not a compliment. Is this where the term mentor comes from, or was it a very apropos name? I think it is believed that the idea of the mentor comes from the mentor character that we met way back when, in like book 2 or 3. But somebody can correct me, because I think that's it, but I'm actually not entirely sure. It's a unique name. I don't think I've ever seen another character named Mentor. Oh God. Give it to me, Sarah. Give me the Wilson rage bait. I was going to say, everybody spray bottle Agnes. I'm afraid, Sarah. I'm afraid of what you're going to pull up for me here. Oh, God. Hold on. I'm going to look away before I have to... the spray bottles. Suitors ignoring their shortcomings. Yeah. Friend, the long-enduring Odysseus stepped in. Surely it's right for me to say a word at this point. My heart, by God, is torn to pieces hearing this. Both of you telling how these reckless suitors there in your own house, against your will, plot your ruin. A fine young prince like you. Oh, it's rage bait for Agnes. Penelope liked his speeches, not that he was preferred. Actually, I'll give Wilson credit on that. She understood that point. Because we're going to talk about that. Not even Wilson can help you, Agnes. Damn, that's a sign. We will give Wilson that one little thing. The Odyssey is mentioned. Okay, hey, if the etymology of mentor is the Odyssey, that is pretty cool. The Greek is like that, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I'm not surprised. From what I understood, the Greek was like that for Amphinomus. We're not even there yet, guys. Way too far ahead. The Penelope part, I was going to say. We're not even there yet, guys. Hold on. Tell me, though, do you let yourself be so abused, or do people round about, stirred up by the prompting of some god, despise you? Or are your brothers at fault? Brothers a man can trust to fight beside him, true, no matter what deadly blood feud rages on. Would I were young as you to match my spirit now, or were I the son of great Odysseus, or the king himself returned from all his roving, wink wink. There's still room for hope. Then let some foreigner lop my head off if I failed to march right into Odysseus's royal halls and kill them all. And what if I went down crushed by their numbers, I? Fighting alone? I'd rather die, cut down in my own house, than have to look on their outrage day by day. Guests treated to blows, men dragging the serving women through the noble house, exploiting them all, no shame, and the gushing wine swilled, the food squandered, gorging for gorging's sake, and the courting game goes on, no end in sight. Nudge, nudge. The brothers are not from Thebes. Yeah, this line, Odysseus calls my house. Yeah. Yep. Says that cut down in my own house. He's giving himself away. But it would seem almost by accident because he's really riled up here. Don't blame him. If I'm hearing this and I'm like, the fuck you mean? What? Come here, mama. Come here. Hold on. Peg has awoken and she shook and the crown has been moved, so I must go fix it. Okay, I'll take the crown off. I'll take the crown off. You silly goose. All right. Yes, you wore your royal garb. Odie is bad at espionage. He's been pretty good, but I think at this point he just can't take it any longer, because now also here's his son. Like, you know, his pride and joy, his heir. There we go. Give it to the uppies. What? She will at least wear her royal cloak. But I won't force the crown on her head again. Whose house? Odysseus' house. My house. We have her with her cute cape. She, for those who don't know, there is also a crown. But I won't force her to wear it. But he's basically trying to rile up Telemachus too. He's also kind of sussing Telemachus out, because this is his son, but he doesn't know how he's grown up. So he's trying to suss him out, like, what kind of man are you at this point? But also, what is the situation with other men who might be around, like other Tolos who may be around? So we're sussing out, but he's losing a little control here. It's very personal to him, kind of. Again, we're losing it a bit. He's fraying. He's losing his ability to hold this disguise, because this is his son. Boy? Ugh, do I need to disown this boy? I think it's more just like, turn it back around, kid. Come on now. You can't be, if you're my son, and you're Penelope's son, I gotta believe. You're right, my friend. Sober Telemachus agreed. Now let me tell you the whole story, first to last. It's not that all our people have turned against me, keen for a showdown. Nor have I any brothers at fault. Brothers a man can trust to fight beside him, true, no matter what deadly blood feud rages on. Zeus made our line a line of only sons. Arcesius had only one son, Laertes, and Laertes had only one son, Odysseus, and I am Odysseus's only son. Okay, we gotta talk about it. Because this line, Zeus made our line a line of only sons. For some reason, in pop culture or modern consciousness, this has come to mean to people this idea that there is a curse upon the paternal line of Odysseus, that they are only allowed to have one son. No, that's incorrect. I mean, one, you can even go back to the time that Homer is writing and look at Hesiod, who confirms for us that Odysseus has several sons with Circe, and the number of how many he has with her completely, changes. We know the telegony exists. The whole point of that is that one of those sons is going to come back. So it's not that they are cursed to only have one son. It just so happens they have only had one son. So, again, I think this comes from a misunderstanding of the line itself. Now, I don't know exactly how it goes in the Greek, but what we're saying here is when you're saying that Zeus has, the Zeus made our line a line of only sons, it means ultimately you were trying to have an heir and a spare, which is my favorite way of describing it. You need the heir, you need a spare. Why? Children could die. It's a dangerous world. I mean, your life expectancy is only so much. it's worth it to have a backup, because it's not even just even in a noble line of wanting to, have at least just in case this prince fails. It is, you want the bloodline to continue. That's continued on through the sons. So that doesn't exist in Ba Sing Se. Well, they might be sent to Troy on summer camp, Well, yeah, you want to have more than one, because it's about continuing the bloodline, which is done through the male side, because yay, the patriarchy of the time, even more so. But it also means if you are in a noble or royal household, you really have to ensure that one son survives to adulthood and is raised right, because you have no backup. That's it. The line ends. So it's like, it's a big deal for them to realize, oh, we only each had one son. So the attributing it to Zeus is a way of saying almost like, because there was only one son and it happened, 3 times in a row, clearly it must be by some sort of divine providence that like we weren't able to have more than one son, because that puts a lot of pressure on that generation to make sure that kid survives. The furtherance of your line is fully dependent on that one son. So he's just making a note of it, and attributing it to Zeus is like saying it must be by some sort of divine providence or intervention, kind of shrugging, and you use Zeus as essentially the royal we, because he's the king of the gods. Like, he's sort of representative of, it could be any god, but hey, just go for the king of them, because you're attributing, again, kind of this royal we type thing. Crusaders, king number 1 gameplay rule, always have a spare. Literally, have an heir and a spare. That's just kind of the way it goes. It also makes it helpful if one of your kids needs to be raised in a other kingdom with which you have a tenuous alliance kind of thing. Like, you want an heir and a spare. So that's where, like, yeah, and Zeus is connected to fate. So it's like, hey, maybe this was our fate. You can do it with Zeus. But also, it's the royal we thing. And for some reason, in a lot of popular culture, this has come to people saying that there's a curse upon them. Like, we know that's not true. Again, there are multiple sources that tell you that Odysseus had numerous sons. Yes, he only had one son with Penelope. Like, he had, they had Telemachus. He didn't really get much time to do more than that because he got shipped off to war. So, like, they weren't exactly getting a lot of time there. But we know he had sons with Circe. Hesiod writes about that. Again, and I believe in his Theogony. So, like, and it was a well-known thing. And also, who knows how many potentially bastard sons he had running around out there. We don't really know. Just because we don't hear about them doesn't mean they don't exist somewhere. So, like, I don't know how. Because, look, when there's a curse, it'll get freaking talked about. Like, and even Telemachus isn't describing this as a curse. He's just saying, well, it just sort of worked out that way. This is why I'm in this situation. It just turns out we've only had one son. I don't have a biological brother. Like, I don't have anybody really to help me out. I don't have any family support here because there just haven't been any kids. Yeah, I'm missing the forest, like, it's not misogynistic enough. Yeah, people taking it literally. Could saying Zeus caused everything to be possible, possibly because if it was from divine will, it could be worse to not acknowledge it? That's a good thought, but I think it's more because they don't know. I mean, you want to be careful. You don't want to attribute something that sounds negative to a god. In this case, he's just saying, look, hey, it's the will of the gods, if you will. It's his way of saying, nah, he goes, well, it's the will of the gods. Like, you're just saying it's the will of the universe. It ended up such that, the gods willed it. It's almost a throwaway line in the way that it's being used. So, but people put so much stock into it. I'm like, it's wow. Okay, guys. It's more you can't really blame them on the fates. Yeah. Definitely missing. Yeah, Zeus making the line doesn't. Yeah, just because we're saying, hey, it was the will of the gods that this happened, it doesn't mean there's a literal curse on the family. But oh my god. Is it also like saying that Zeus didn't bless him with siblings? It's just putting a blame on the gods. It could be. It could be taken wrong, being like saying, well, it's all Zeus's fault. It's like, why are you blaming a god? Like, don't get a god's attention by throwing shit at them. That's a terrible idea. But also, as far as we know, it's nobody's fault that they only had one son, each of these lines. It just worked out that way. It's kind of just a coincidence, and for whatever reason, we don't know. Getting a full brother born sometime. Yeah, there are some, obscure later myths, I think, where that's happened. So yeah, God's doing what they want because they have the power. But as far as we know, the gods are not involved in this. Like, it's a throwaway line. They are attributing it to essentially the divine will of fate or to, the law of the universe or whatever, but we have no evidence a god sat down and said they will only have one son on this paternal line. There's nothing there. It's people put way too much stock in this line when it's like, it's just there to be like, yeah, it's the will of the gods. We only had one son each generation. That's how it shook out. Let's hope the gods are not involved in this. God, when the gods get involved in things, bad, yeah, the gods, don't you put that evil on me. Yeah, Zeus isn't evil and asshole enough. It would normally weave up what happens in a human's life, so someone else is responsible. It's still something out of your control, but due to superior power, you can't. Right, they're like, humans can't control how many sons they have. It's, aka the will of the universe, the will of the gods. No, I mean inspiring people. Oh, yeah, no, let's hope the gods are not involved in this. Oh, God, yeah, it's true. It's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. But yeah, so I knew I was going to have to address this line because, oh my God, it has been brought up so many times. And I'm like, oh my God, guys. Making a whole big deal out of nothing. Like making a whole curse out of nothing. I'm like, it's not a curse. It's not a curse. Ay, ay, ay. He fathered me and left me behind at home, and from me he got no joy. So now our house is plagued by swarms of enemies. All the nobles who rule the islands round about, Dulichian and Sami, and wooded Zakynthus too, and all who lord it in rocky Ithaca as well. Down to the last man they court my mother. They lay waste to my house. And mother, she neither rejects a marriage she despises, nor can she bear to bring the courting to an end, while they continue to bleed my household white. Which, that is a good creative use there. Fagles, I'm assuming he chose to write it that way, has less to do with what's in the Greek, but the phrase bleeding someone white comes out of World War I. There's a famous line that was used. It said how the Battle of Verdun, which was one of the most sustained and ugliest and bloodiest and brutal battle campaigns of World War I, it was, we are going to bleed France white. The idea is just bleed them till they can't bleed anymore and they give up. That's essentially what Telemachus is saying. But that has got to be, it's saying c'est la vie. Yeah, it's literally a kind of c'est la vie. Very much so. But yeah, I know, yeah, the my house thing. But yeah, that's essentially what Telemachus is getting at here. He's like, they're trying to run us ragged to get us to give up. Yeah, the actual use of color. Yeah, for me, I'm like, oh, I know that phrase of bleeding something white. It's very infamous from World War I. I think that's Fagles like driving home that like that's what's going on here. He goes, soon, you wait, they'll grind me down as well. But all lies in the lap of the great gods. C'est la vie. It's like, it's out of my hands, basically. They'll eat me whole in a bit as well. Yeah, rare anachronism. It's anachronism, but it's more, I think that's how, Mariana or G could tell me, yeah, this isn't rudeness, it's a siege. Exactly. By pulling on that particular phrase, because that's what Verdun was. It was a massive siege. So we're really driving home. This is a siege. This is a war in its own way. It's in the knees in Greek. Oh, it all lies in the lap of the great gods. It lies in the knees of the gods. Mariana or G, since you're both, I think, looking at the Greek, can tell me, what is that line in particular? Because obviously by saying it lies in the lap of the gods, I mean, saying it's in someone's lap, that's it lies in the knees of the gods, really. That is so interesting. Okay, so, because it lies in the lap, it's in the lap of the gods. That's a pretty common English phrase, like it's in the lap of something. It's like, it's in their hands. Probably didn't want to do hands if it's knees. Interesting. I wonder why knees? It's honestly an anachronism that works, all things considered. This is it's an anachronistic phrase that makes sense because this is the whole point. And yes, it's a parallel to Troy. Better in the knees of the gods instead of feet. 129 in Greek, but I wonder if it was connected to the suppliant stuff. Maybe. In the knees of the gods, that'd be interesting. Mariana, you and I might have to explore this at some point when you're not in your version of the pit, because I will be curious. Hold on. What line am I at? 50, 48. 48. I'm around like 145, I think. I'm going to make a note of this because, Mariana, I want to investigate this with you later. When you have energy and time, 145-ish. At least I'll investigate, if nothing else. But you have a better handle of the Greek than I do in, like, especially grammatical stuff. Okay. Is it in or on? When you're sitting down, something is on your knees. It's basically on the knees of the gods. It's basically in your lap. Oh, it could be. If it's on the knees of the gods, then yeah, same thing kind of a saying as in your lap if you're sitting. Suppliant, as in I'm at the gods' mercy. It could be. Maybe Charlie actually has a point. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Well, we'd have to look at the grammar, and I would be kind of no use there. So anybody who's got the Greek and knows the grammar and all that can say if it's more like on the knees of the gods, then saying in the lap of the gods makes sense. Because if you're sitting, yeah, have to check the grammar. I know. This is where I depend on you guys. But yeah, no, we are, who was it who brought up? Yeah, Sarah, you're correct. At the hand of the gods. In the ancient text, it's knees, as Miriam said. Interesting. At the knees of the gods. In the lap of the gods. That can make sense, especially if we're sitting. So, as Sarah, you were saying the Troy parallel. This is the reason I kept saying this is like Troy 2.0. Their home is under siege. They have to sneak in disguise and take it from within. Except in this case, it's a homecoming versus like they are the foreign invaders. It's no, they are the people defending their home, but he's going to use essentially the same strategy. We're doing a Troy 2.0. He's come home to yet another war, to yet another siege. Context is everything, as always. Translating prepositions, the fun stuff I know. Troy, but more, yes, more contained. We're on a more microcosmic scale compared to Troy, right? If Troy is the macrocosm, this would be a microcosmic equivalent. We're on a smaller scale. But yes, it is absolutely meant to parallel. He just went through this 10 years ago. He's got to do it again. But again, he threw away, we remember the whole thing. His Kleos is not tied to his exploits at Troy. So we're pulling a Troy 2.0, and this is part of where his Kleos is coming from, the completion of the Nostos, which includes the retaking of his house, which includes this Troy 2.0. It all makes sense, right? And Theoid says, yet these things verily lie on the knees of the gods. I don't know what translation they use. Yeah, he's about to go home alone, but we ain't leaving anybody alive. Also, if Kevin were way more straightforward. Yeah, we're wondering about the suppliant thing, but A-Team Murray. Okay, so Draco and others. It will take a while. This will probably have to be done later, like well after book club. The grammar's going to have to get examined, which obviously I'm no help with. So I will leave it to my Greek people, which probably means it'll fall to Mariana. I'm so sorry, Mariana. To look at the grammar at some point and help us out. So then we can... And what'll happen is I will add that to my notes. For those who don't know, if you're in the Discord, any notes that I type up for this, I go back in later and try to refine them and add stuff and have like footnotes and stuff. So that would be something that would get added to these notes. Oh, and data is the dative. On or upon. So Charlie is right. Upon the knees of the gods. If you're sitting, that is in the lap of the gods. Okay. Hey, look, never mind. We got it all worked out. Mariana, bless you. Thank you. I know you're in the pit, so thank you. Love that. No, I think this is more like it's, as we would say, it's in the hands of the gods or it's in the lap of the gods, sort of like it's in their power. He's like, it's not up to me. He's like, at this point, it's out of my hands. This is beyond me. We require divine intervention at this point, Mariana. Rabbit hole concluded. It's true. Mariana, the MVP. Mind you, coming to you from, for those who don't know the show, The Pit, Mariana is at her version of The Pit. I read somewhere that Odysseus tried to plead insanity to stay in Ithaca, but Palamedes had proven he wasn't. Punished to get vengeance upon. Yes, Alicia, I don't know if we've talked, I think we've talked about this in a prior book club, but I can't remember. Yes, the whole thing was, yes, bingo square for rabbit hole, absolutely. The whole thing was that Odysseus tried to pretend he was insane, to not have to go to war, and he did that by doing some really wild stuff with like trying to sow the beaches as if they were fields. Yeah, we have in a few. Sow the beach as if it were a field. And they would go like, what is this guy doing? He was sowing salt. He was like running the plow backwards. He was doing a lot of weird shit. Unfortunately, Palamedes, who had been sent by Agamemnon, knew that Odysseus has a reputation. Okay. He's like, okay, well, if you're really crazy, he took Telemachus and dropped him in front of this plow that Odysseus was running, which would have killed Telemachus, but a crazy person would not have cared. So Odysseus gets found out. He does get revenge. He and Diomedes, it is said in some of the myth, basically plant evidence that make it look like Palamedes is a traitor and that he's selling them out to the Trojans, and he gets killed. He gets executed for treason. Now the whole thing is that only Diomedes and Odysseus know that knows that the evidence is fake, and obviously Palamedes knows, but he doesn't really know who planted it and all of that. But it is only Diomedes and Odysseus know that they did this, and it was his own personal revenge back at him. The others did not know. They genuinely thought Palamedes is a traitor. We have to execute him for it. Yeah, absolute desperation. So yes, Alicia, that is one myth, and that he did get his revenge on him. Now, if you then go to Hyginus, who is a ethnically Greek writer, but who's writing in the time of the Roman Empire, and he's writing in Latin, he gives one particular very strange version of the myth of what happens to Anticlea, Odysseus' mom. Part of how she dies. In his version, she does off herself, but it's because Palamedes' father has heard about the death of his son. He apparently thinks it's sus. He's angry. He's upset. And so he tells Anticlea, oh, I got word your son is dead. He died at Troy. Sucks to suck. Boo-hoo for you. And so she goes and throws herself off the cliffs. That's the only version I know of that particular way. Normally she just dies of grief. But yes, Palamedes, yeah. There's reasons people ship Diomedes and Odysseus. I don't get involved in that. It could be that. It could be the fact that they go to steal the Palladium. Like, Odysseus and Diomedes have a lot of kind of adventures together, because Diomedes, mind you, is the dude. He is basically kind of the greatest hero, right behind Heracles overall, my opinion. But at Troy, other than Achilles, because apparently Achilles is all that, Diomedes was the best warrior. Like, hands down, nobody's really coming close. And Odysseus comes up with good strategy. So, like, hey, he's going to do something. Who's he going to take? He's going to take the guy who's definitely going to get the job done. Diomedes was very much a, like, do things first, think later. Odysseus is a think first. And so put them together, it works. The thing with Palamedes' dad, I really only know it from Hyginus. Or Hyginus. It's the only place I can recall seeing it written. And he does some of the most, like, kind of out-of-pocket, obscure version of some of the myths. He does make it clear he's writing about the Greek mythology. He is ethnically Greek. But they are a little... The fabuli, which I do believe is what it comes from, is kind of out-of-pocket in places. Come at me, and Achilles was, look at me. Oh, yeah, no. Diomedes is the hero who has his moment of Aristeia in the Iliad, when he fights Olympians on the battlefield. Diomedes gets a moment of Aristeia. So, like, damn right he does. And everybody fucking, leaves him out of adaptations, and I'm forever bitter on his behalf. The original Brains and Brawn duo. A little bit, kinda. They are like the Brains and Brawn duo. And it's not that Diomedes is stupid. Like, let's get that clear. It's just that Odysseus is known for his meatus. He's known for his cleverness. He's known to be incredibly sneaky and clever. So, we love Diomedes in this house. I stand my problematic Greek men, one of them being Diomedes. Yes, I would say remember to separate shipping from canon, especially when studying the canon, because also remember when you're studying the air quotes canon, you are studying what were essentially sacred texts. Not all Greek scholars did ship the characters. In fact, they often mocked people for doing that in a lot of their stuff, but they would mostly be pointing out poetic parallels. Diomedes is a little bit unhinged, but it's true. He's not Neoptolemus level of unhinged, which does make sense when you consider Neoptolemus, his name means new war. He would be a different kind of unhinged. Diomedes is definitely a little on the side of unhinged, which is probably why I love him. He's just a wild dude. Oh yeah, no, I know you don't mean to imply that, but there are some people who might be like, oh, he's dumb. It's more just like Odysseus is just extremely clever. Yeah, Diomedes is a fun unhinged. We enjoy unhinged Diomedes. Unhinged Neoptolemus makes us go, ooh, that's brutal. Diomedes definitely a wild card. Dependable though, usually. Like, if you want to get shit done, sending Diomedes in means it's probably 99.9% of the time it's going to get done. He gets shit done. He wants something, he will take it. He will make it happen. He's not the leashed toddler. He's more like a leashed, like, fighting dog, bloodhound, something. Like, he's a leashed, like, just juggernaut. Oh, the Iliad is going to be so fun. When we do the Iliad after the Odyssey, we are just going to be surrounded by problematic Greek men. It's going to be so much fun. Diomedes is like a hunting hound. Again, he sets his eyes on something, on the target, he will achieve the target. It's very much how his character is. Diomedes, honorary huntrix. He show you how it's done. Diomedes, honorary huntrix. Absolutely. Is it a war crime I can root for? Yeah, the real question in Greek mythology, is it war crimes I can root for, or will it sicken me? It's true. When we get to the Iliad, it'll be like, can you root for that war crime? Or does that war crime upset you so much that you can't root for it? So true. Diomedes don't miss. Diomedes showed this how it's done. Dun, dun. That's, oh God, that's going to be in my head all day. It's fine. Anyway. Okay. Eumaeus, good old friend, go quickly to wise Penelope. Tell her I'm home from Pylos, safe and sound. I'll stay right on here, but you come back as soon as you've told the news to her alone. No other Achaean must hear. All too many plot to take my life. I know. You assured your prince, Eumaeus, loyal swineherd. I see your point. There's sense in this old head. One thing more, and to make your orders clear. On the same trip do I go and give the news to King Laertes too. For many years, poor man, heart-sick for his son, he'll always keep an eye on the farm and take his meals with the hired hands whenever he felt the urge to. Now, from the day you sailed away to Pylos, not a sip or a bite he's touched, they say, not as he did before. His eyes are shut to all the farmyard labors. Huddled over, groaning in grief and tears, he wastes away. The man's all skin and bones. Which is leading into how Laertes has really fallen apart. He's been, like, really, I think, especially since the death of Anticlea, we've just kind of shown that Laertes is out for the count. He's really suffering and struggling here. So much the worst. Telemachus answered firmly. Leave him alone. Though it hurts us now, we must. If men could have all they want, free for the taking, I'd take first my father's journey home. So you go and give the message, then come back. No roaming over the fields to find Laertes. Tell my mother to send her housekeeper, fast as she can in secret. She can give the poor old man the news, because Euryclea is the goat. Yes, send Euryclea. Nobody's going to think twice about Euryclea going to visit Laertes. One, we know that Laertes is the one who purchased her to be a tolos for the house. They've known each other a very long time. In fact, it was said he probably had the hots for her and wanted to sleep with her, but Anticlea put her foot down and said, absolutely fucking not, so he never did, so far as we know, or at least so far as the Odyssey has told us. But nobody would think twice about Euryclea going to check on the old man, especially for hearing he's not eating, we know he's not doing well. I mean, Penelope has been doing the whole thing of unweaving his fucking funeral shroud. We know he's not doing well physically. Nobody would think twice about that, and we know Euryclea, that woman can keep a secret. Euryclea, absolute goat. So, and we know that we can trust her. It's been proven in early books. We're re-emphasizing it here again. We are meeting kind of all of these servants who are like the real inner circle of the staff. Euryclea is one of them. Eumaeus is another one. That roused Eumaeus. The swineherd grasped his sandals, strapped them onto his feet, and made for town. His exit did not escape Athena's notice. Approaching closer now, she appeared a woman, beautiful, tall, and skilled at weaving lovely things. Just at the shelter's door she stopped. Visible to Odysseus, but Telemachus could not see her. Sense her there? He could not see her or sense her there. But the gods don't show themselves to every man alive. Odysseus saw her. So did the dogs. No barking now. They whimpered, cringing away in terror through the yard. They were like, oh shit, no, we can't bark at that. It's true, yeah, Euryclea kept Penelope company probably as sane as she possibly could. Absolutely. Again, Euryclea, one of our goats. We love Euryclea in this house. She gave a sign with her brows. Odysseus caught it. Out of the lodge he went and passed the high stockade and stood before the goddess. Athena urged him on. Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, old campaigner. Now is the time to tell your son the truth. Hold nothing back, so the two of you can plot the suitors' doom and then set out for town. I myself won't lag behind you long. I'm blazing for a battle. Athena stroked him with her golden wand. First she made the cloak and shirt on his body fresh and clean, then made him taller, supple, young. His ruddy tan came back, the cut of his jawline firmed, and the dark beard clustered black around his chin. That's right. Does this mean Athena will literally grab a weapon and join the fight, or she will help with her blessings? She will help with her blessings. She's not going to come down and fight these suitors, please. These suitors are not worth her time. She's looking at them going, bitch, you ain't worth it. Like, you think you deserve to be slain by me? Oh, hell no. She's like, no. I'm going to run some divine interference. I'm going to participate in this, but from the sidelines, which we will see her do. She will do some stuff to make sure that Odysseus has this moment of Aristeia. Yeah, gods and their need to make Odie taller. Well, I think she'd made him kind of even shorter but when making him old. Like, essentially the idea that he's kind of hunched a little forward if he's older, like he's not as physically fit. In Greek, she calls him Diokines, Zeus born. That's her favorite puppy for real. Yes, exactly. He's one that she favors. He's doing all the shit, and she's like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna make this happen. She's like, don't worry, I got this. I'm a fairy god. They don't just, yeah, no, she's just like, oh, I'm not gonna, just like me, slay these guys? Please, I wouldn't give them the honor. No, you got this. She's the godly cheerleader, more like the godly coach on the sidelines in a way, or like the manager. She's keeping an eye on, but she's only gonna actively involve herself if necessary. The Makestai, I'd have to check the Makestai though. Ooh, I'm curious, Mariana, what you dig up. But yeah, she's just like, okay, let's get this disguise off. Time to go talk to your son, looking like the hero you actually are. Also, again, love that we reference, he's got himself his beard. I'm giving him his facial hair back. Because my author goes, I want to fight. I want to fight, or I'm blazing. I think there's ways to fight without her actually physically throwing her spear down on the battle. I mean, she participates in the fight, we know later, with how she does things in the Slaughter of the Suitors. And I would say that's still fighting, just in a different way. But that's where we can get to like fun of interpretation of the Greek and what you think it means. Like that's one where I go, that can be really fun for interpretation. Yeah, the trainer of the hunting dog. She loves, yeah, exactly. She's like, I have trained you. Well, not so much that she's trained him. She's like, I've kept an eye on you. You're someone that I've looked at. I've made sure you got to this point. I'm going to let you loose at some point. I'm not sure about the fighting being fighting. This will be great. Agnes, you know this is coming. Interesting. Stab, not stab. Yeah, that's my pet hero. Stab him harder. Yeah, basically. I was gonna say, Agnes, sob all you want. It changes nothing. Let's see. The cluster of black around his chin. Her work complete, she went away once more, and Odysseus returned to the lodge. His own son gazed at him, wonderstruck, terrified too, turning his eyes away suddenly. This must be some god. And then he let fly with a burst of exclamations. Friend, you're a new man. Not what I saw before. Your clothes, they've changed. Even your skin has changed. Surely you are some god who rules the vaulting skies. Be kind, and we will give you offerings, gifts of hammered gold to warm your heart. Spare us, please, I beg you. Which, like, let's be fair. Telemachus has not done anything that would, like, bring on the ire of a god, even in a place that is not technically his house, but his property, ultimately, if you consider that Eumaeus is his dolos, and, like, they gifted him this stuff. Telemachus' Xenia has been pretty, impeccable. But this was the whole thing with Xenia. You never knew if you were going to encounter Xenia, if you were going to meet a god in disguise. So because he has never met his father as an adult, he doesn't know what his father looks like. He's immediately assuming this is a god who has taken a different shape. I mean, the dude just shape-shifted. He's assuming this is God. So he's just like, whoa, if I offended you in any way, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Like, all of this, which I'm like, to be fair, if it were God in disguise, they would probably tell him, dude, your Xenia's been good. Like, if we're talking this situation. Yeah, Odysseus first ever to do Korean skincare. Absolutely. He's like, whoa, your skin, drop the routine. Yes, and we know Telemachus has seen Athena do the same before, so it's a natural assumption. It's a completely natural assumption. So he's just doing the immediate, oh my god, let me clear my bases. But I do think, why does Telemachus assume the god would be mad? It's not necessarily he's assuming the god would be mad. He's just covering his bases. He's just like, look, let me, just in case, if I said something and I didn't realize and I offended you, or if you think I have not treated you well enough, let me just cover that baseline. I'm sorry. It's kind of an immediate drop to your knees in fear because this is one of your gods. This is one of your pantheon. This is an immortal being. They are so above you on the power scale level. Cover your bases. Plus, yeah. So it's not that he's assuming he'll be mad. He's like, just in case, let me get that out of the way. He's just, yeah, it's true. Gods are, as they say, like, gods do not just show themselves to any man. They don't really show themselves to humans. A lot of the times if they show up, they might be mad at you. So he's kind of like, oh, did I piss you off? If I did, I'm sorry. Yeah, what olive oil brand are you? Oh God, no, not the J-Lo skincare. If you guys don't know, J-Lo was infamous for claiming like olive oil is what she used on her skin, which don't use it on your face, guys. It is not designed for your face. It's absolutely not going to help. True. Agnes, that's actually a good point. Before, he had noted he was worried about bringing Odysseus to his house. However, he gave good explanation by saying, look, I want to treat you properly, but I'm afraid you won't get proper treatment because of the fucking siege that's going on in my house. But you never know, a god might take that the wrong way. We're covering our bases, which again, a god would not be angry. Like because Xenia has been the one moral through line across this entire epic, we've seen bad Xenia, we've seen really good Xenia. We know Telemachus he learned his Xenia right. That boy learned his lesson. He knows how to behave, and he has been behaving in a proper manner this whole time. She probably could give Odie a magic olive. It's true. So we got scared. But yeah, no, Agnes, that's a good point. That could be part of it. Even though, of course, he gave very good reasoning for, like, his whole thing. He's like, I only don't want you because I'm afraid you will essentially get bullied by these heathens that are sieging my palace. That's his concern. Not that he can't treat him well. And he said, look, but if you're going to be okay with that, I will bring you to my house. I will treat you well. If not, you can stay here and I will send the stuff that you absolutely deserve as being one of my guests, and I will do all this. So he's still been performing great, Xenia. Yeah, Telemachus passes the vibe check. Absolutely. Like, look, that kid got raised right. Even with Odysseus not there, Penelope did her job, Mentor did her job, Euryclea, Anticlea, like all these other adults in his life prior to the suitors showing up, they all did their jobs well. He got raised right. Is Telemachus' explanation of refusing shelter a slight parallel to Nausicaa's explanation for refusing Odysseus an escort to her home? It's about propriety. You could see it that way. And given that, there were scholias, as we know, these sort of scholars writing academic interpretation and explanations and analysis on the Homeric works, we know from the infamous Nausicaa rabbit hole that the poor Mariana and I dived down, Mariana even more so than me, who found the Scholia where they talked about the thing with Telemachus and Nausicaa was that they are a poetic parallel. It is a story of maturation, of growing up, of stepping into your adulthood. They are both good and proper kids. They're following the kind of rules of propriety, if you will. So yes, very much so. There could be absolutely a poetic parallel to how Nausicaa said, look, it's going to look bad just in case. I don't want to cause gossip. I don't want to cause problems. So can you wait here where nobody's going to come in and do it this way? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's about propriety. Is a host at fault if he sent Odysseus in disguise to the house, knowing the situation with the suitors and they do as... Is a host at fault if he sent Odysseus in disguise to the house, knowing the situation with the suitors and they do as he knows they would and treat him poorly? If a host didn't warn him and didn't step in to try and chastise the suitors and all of that, he might get in trouble with that. But Telemachus made it clear, this is the situation at my house. My house is under siege. I'm already having problems. I'm going to be real honest. Are you understanding? But it's also, how does the host then treat him? If the host does nothing and Odysseus is treated terribly by these suitors, that does reflect on the host. Now, if they start treating him terribly and he escorts Odysseus away, he chastises the suitors, he then makes it up to Odysseus and he treats him extremely well. it reflects more on the suitors than on the host. So it kind of depends on how he acts in that situation. It obviously also reflects terribly on the suitors. That's a point. That's sort of a baseline. But yeah, if he doesn't step in and like behave and like do things to try and check that in any way, even if yes, he's having difficulty doing it, which as we have to understand, he's having difficulty because there's over 100 of these guys versus one him. It could reflect on him. Terms of endearments, Papa Ata to their father figures, I just realized. Interesting. Love that. Yes, please remember if you're going to ask a question, use the hand raising emoji or I'm going to miss it in the sea of questions that do come. That helps catch my attention. Noted. Okay. Oh, Jakob, did you ask a question? Oh, Jacob, sorry. I said Jakob, but I'm not sure. You can tell me if I'm right. What do you think? My thoughts going to mix a bit on the translation saying scepters had nails of gold in them. Can you give me a line in context? I'm not entirely sure. Hey, S. Yeah, you made it in time. We're about 200 lines in. Jacob. Okay. I don't know if I have an opinion about them saying scepters had nails of gold in them, but it would depend on which line you're kind of looking at. I don't, have we set a line with that? I don't recall that yet. And if it's something from the Iliad, we haven't done the Iliad yet, so I'm trying to not get too Iliad specific here. Because we're going to do the Iliad after the Odyssey, which is kind of the reverse of how they should go, but Odyssey's having its moment, so we do the Odyssey. All right. Here we go. No, I am not a god. The long-enduring great Odysseus returned. Why confuse me with one who never dies? No. I am your father. The Odysseus, you wept for all your days. You bore a world of pain, the cruel abuse of men. And with those words, Odysseus kissed his son, and the tears streamed down his cheeks and wet the ground, though before he'd always reined his emotions back. But still not convinced that it was his father, Telemachus broke out, wild with disbelief. No, you're not. Odysseus, not my father, just some spirit spell binding me now to make me ache with sorrow all the more. Impossible for a mortal to work such marvels. Not with his own devices, not unless some god comes down in person, eager to make that mortal young or old like that. Just now you were old, wrapped in rags, but now, look, you seem like a god who rules the skies up there. Telemachus, Odysseus, man of exploits. Oh, thinking back to the Iliad. Okay, Jacob, then hold on to that question for when we eventually get to the Iliad. Line in the 60s or 70s, the scepter of Odysseus. The scepter of Odysseus being. It would probably be just to say that there's gold in it, which would reflect some of his wealth. Yeah. You're not my real dad, more just like, there's no way you're my dad, I must be going crazy. There wasn't the fluid at the beginning. The scepter, I mean. At the beginning of the Odyssey, like way back in the beginning, I'm sure it probably got, I can't help but wonder, am I going mad? I can't remember, is it like somewhere way in the beginning of the Odyssey? We'll check it later if it's, yeah, if you can, money on it, that would be helpful. Telemachus, Odysseus, man of exploits, urged his son. It's wrong to marvel, carried away in wonder, so to see your father here before your eyes. No other Odysseus will ever return to you. The man and I are one. The man you see here, after many hardships, endless wanderings, after 20 years, I have come home to native ground at last. Am I changing so? Athena's work, the fighter's queen. She has that power makes me look as she likes, now like a beggar, the next moment a young man, decked out in handsome clothes about my body. It's light work for the gods who rule the skies to exalt a mortal man or bring him low. Which is true. With Telemachus knowing Athena is on his side and hearing from both her and Menelaus that Odysseus is alive, why did he assume divine deception before divine help? Because he's had no word of Odysseus. Last he heard, Menelaus said, yeah, well, I heard he's trapped on an island with a nymph. Not that he was heading home. Not that he was home already. He's just like, I just got home. What do you mean you've been here? That's shocking to him. Oh, I love a bunch of notes and Greek lines. Yeah, what Athena told Telemachus and what Odysseus tells Telemachus here. Oh, I bet. So it totally makes sense that he'd be like, you just must be a god. Also, divine help, I mean, you're still watching a dude shapeshift. That's not something you attribute to mortals. I mean, the last time you had a mortal who could supposedly kind of do that was Autolycus, but even then, like, that's never been attributed to Odysseus. His first thought might be, this is a god. It's got to be a god. Because again, even though he's hearing this stuff about Odysseus, he still has that bit of doubt. He's still just like, but he's not here. Like, he has no idea he's going to roll up home and find out his dad's been there a couple days. That's shocking to him. He's like, what? And he's overwhelmed. It's more that he's just very overwhelmed in this moment and is trying to process the idea that my dad is here. I was just talking with my dad, but he was in disguise and my dad is here. Yeah, part of why Telemachus is now convinced is that Odysseus is paralleling a lot of the stuff that Athena said. Oh my god, speedrunning the previous two books. Oh, well, thankfully the previous two books are reasonably easy to speedrun. Going, why is the pencil so smooth and dark? It's a 4B pencil. Oh my god, a 4B pencil. Yeah, it's happening! Oh my god, it's happening! It's very emotional for the both of them, as we know, because at that, Odysseus sat down again, and Telemachus threw his arms around his great father, sobbing uncontrollably, as the deep desire for tears welled up in both. They cried out, shrilling cries, pulsing sharper than birds of prey, eagles, vultures with hooked claws, when farmers plunder their nest of young, too young to fly. And mentioning eagles and vultures, eagles being associated with Zeus, vultures actually get associated with Ares, so we're talking about warriors. It's big Greek men with their big Greek emotions. Come to think of it, didn't Telemachus take Odysseus' scepter with him when he went abroad as a sign of his legitimacy? At this point, I can't actually remember because it was so many books ago. Since we're still shapeshifting Autolycus. So Autolycus is A-U-T-O L-Y-C-U-S. Autolycus, who is the son of Hermes, who is Odysseus' grandfather, the one who gave him his name. My Trek brain just went Klingon on the birds. Yeah, Klingon birds of... Oh, I know, right? The Klingon birds of prey. Ain't no emotions bigger than Greek emotions. It's true. Aw, happy birthday, Falco. Makes us compare and parallel this reveal when union with the Electra and Orestes one. Oh, yeah, later when you get to Aeschylus. Definitely. Autolycus, yes, meaning the wolf itself. He could shapeshift, I think, into a wolf. So it's not like he could change his appearance into... I think he could change into... He could shapeshift to a degree. Happy birthday, Mariana, I see you. But yes, we are comparing them to birds of prey. They are warriors. They are going to be spilling blood. We've had all these omens and all this stuff coming. It's been... So it's just... it's so good. Both men so filled with compassion, eyes streaming tears that now the sunlight would have set upon their cries if Telemachus had not asked his father all at once, "What sort of ship, dear father, brought you here? Ithaca, at last, who did the sailors say they are? I hardly think you came home on foot." It's like, which, I mean, of course, he knows his father came by sea. He was already told by Menelaus, from what I heard, he's trapped on an island with a nymph who's not letting him go, and nobody can find this island. So long in exile, great Odysseus replied, "Surely, my son, I'll tell you the whole story now. Phaeacians brought me here, the famous sailors who ferry home all men who reach their shores. They sailed me across the sea in their swift ship. They set me down in Ithaca sound asleep, and gave me glittering gifts, bronze and hoards of gold and robes. All lie stowed in a cave, thanks to the gods' help, and Athena's inspiration spurred me here now, so we could plan the slaughter of our foes. Come, give me full tally of these suitors. I must know their numbers, gauge their strength. Then I'll deploy this old tactician's wits. Decide if the two of us can take them on, alone, without allies, or we should hunt reserves to back us up. Telemachus has one joke for every occasion. Father, clear-headed Telemachus countered quickly. All my life, I've heard of your great fame, a brave man in war and deep mind in council. But what you say dumbfounds me, staggers imagination. How on earth could two men fight so many and so strong? These suitors are not just 10 or 20. They're far more. You count them up for yourself now. Take a moment. From Dulichion, 52 of them. Picked young men, 6 servants in their troops. From Same, 24. From Zacynthus, 20 Achaeans, nobles, all, and the 12 best lords from Ithaca itself. Medon, the heralds with them, a gifted bard, and 2 henchmen skilled to carve their meat. If we pit ourselves against all of those in the house, I fear the revenge you came back home to take will recoil on our heads. A bitter, deadly blow. I think, can you come up with some friends in arms? Some man to fight beside us? Some brave heart? Which this is speaking to, I mean, to be fair, these are insane odds, like, already. And we know that the way that Odysseus kills them is a moment of Aristeia because of how insane the odds are. But what we're playing off here is the experience of Odysseus versus the youth of Telemachus, where he has not fought a war. He can't really gauge how to do the strategy because he's never had the chance to, like, show his mettle and show his worth. Can he fight? Yeah, sure, he would have to know how to fight. But to make a plan to fight 100 and, like, whatever guys on his, like, that's not in his power. Versus Odysseus, who has the experience, who's the old weathered soldier, is going to be like, I can come up with something. Which, to be fair, this is still going to be a moment of Aristeia. Like, it's still insane, the fact that they pull it off. Never tell me the odds, exactly. He'd heard of the tale called Home Alone. And it's like, I know you didn't walk here. No shit, kid, we're on an island. I know. Every time they say, surely you didn't walk here, it's like, part of that could also be saying, like, you're not from here, so you didn't walk here. Like, you're not from Ithaca, I would know you again. Ithaca is not that big, guys. Let me tell you, the old soldier said. Bear it in mind now, listen to me closely. Think. Will Athena, flanked by Father Zeus, do for the two of us? Or shall I rack my brains for another champion? Like, kid, you don't want to join in on this? Telemachus answered shrewdly, full of poise. 2 great champions, those you name, it's true. Off in the clouds they sit, and they lord it over gods and mortal men. Why is Zeus counting Zeus in their corner as well? Is it because Athena is Zeus's favorite? Is it because Zeus allows him to leave Calypso's island? It's because Hermes, he already heard from Hermes that Zeus's orders came down to let you get home and retake your homeland and all of this. So remember, Hermes told Calypso this stuff, Calypso told Odysseus, and she said, it's Zeus's will that you get home. Like, the only person who would be sending down orders like that, that's Zeus. That's why he's saying, we know Zeus is in our corner because I wouldn't be here without that. Athena's in my corner because I literally just talked to her. He's like, we have the king of the gods and his favorite in our corner. Come on now. Okay, be careful again, Jacob, with all this stuff involving the Iliad, because just make sure it all applies to the Odyssey. Children might inherit the Kleos of their parents because they themselves are the Kleos and Time of their parents, just physical form. Yeah, essentially. Yeah, you also have because the suitors are Team Bad Xenia. Like, yeah, absolutely. He's thinking Zeus is in our corner because of the whole, like, he is the one you call on in moments of, hey, they're showing Bad Xenia. Zeus, can you help me out? Now, again, remember, you can call on the help of the gods, but it doesn't mean they will come and help you. They say the gods are not necessarily going to always come because you call. But, again, he had the moment of being told by Calypso, who got told by Hermes, Zeus said this is so. So he knows he's got at least Zeus on his side a little bit there. Yes, because Telemachus did say basically, on your head if you stay. On your head be it. Like, yeah. Oh, finally! What, do you want to come up here? Come here. Yes, I will move your cape, your glorious cape. Yeah. What we doing? Oh, you want to sit over here? We want to sit on this side? I don't know what you want. You normally don't like this side, but okay. Oh, yeah, Zeus is not going to interfere with the retribution. In fact, we shall see that Zeus is going to condone it even more and throw down drama, thunder, and lightning when Odysseus is about to get started, because obviously it gives some aura. How's Peg's kidney problem? So for those who don't know, Peg has early stage kidney disease. We did get some blood work done recently, and the values came back that of the 3 kind of markers they were looking for in the blood, 2 of them seem to have, one of them in particular really did improve. The others have moved slightly and improved a bit with this new prescription food that she's on. So it does seem to be doing better. We're checking again in 3 months to make sure, and then we might just make it only every 6 months we go and get her blood checked. So, may I ask your highness for some healing snorts? Are you sending out the healing snorts? Yes, we send the healing snorts. All of the healing snorts. Build Peg a Pegaron. Oh my god. Yeah. Peg sends forth healing snorts to all who need it. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so that's why he's saying Zeus is in my corner. Mainly it has to do with, back to what he was told by Calypso, who was told by Hermes. And only him saying, you're going to do this or Zeus will make your life a hell, because Zeus commands this. Like, we know Zeus is in his corner at this moment, and it's going to continue even further. But yes, referencing that Zeus is the god related to Xenia absolutely also applies. Yes, you see my medal? For those who don't know, Draco's mentioning, again, I have filmed me unboxing this. It's going to be a Snort Mail, but this is a medal that Draco had made for me, which has my name. It says Yapping World Champion. Quite appropriate. I figured it had to go there on my Greek vase. Oh, an ancient Greek architect. Oh, your dad was an architect. I understand, Jacob. I understand. Yes. Yeah. I know. You're in your royal cloak. Be pleased. And yes, I will post a picture of Peg in her royal garb. And did I absolutely order one of those that's going to go in a big, beautiful frame to hang in my house like she's, people would hang portraits of their monarchs? Yes, I did. It's fine. Yeah, the suitors hearing Thunderbringer in the distance getting louder, like, oh shit. Yeah, no, it's true. It's, again, when we get to the point of the slaughter of the suitors, it's so dramatic. It's amazing. Like, Homer just went, all right, pull out all the stops. This is going to be the most crazy shit you've ever heard since the Iliad. The question, when invoking is any violation, would you call on Zeus Xenios or Zeus Nomos? Usually it is Zeus Xenios, I believe. Zeus Nomos, it might be regional differences which one you call on, but I would think traditionally you would do Zeus Xenios. Yes, Her Eminence, the mighty, merciful Pegamedes, long may she snort. Yeah, can I have a kiss? Thank you. But I would think it would be Zeus Xenios. But again, could be regional differences. Maybe other areas would call on Zeus Nomos. I mean, it's going to be the spooky Halloween Day, the Dead Edition. It is. Yes, that is true. I do believe the next one will be the Halloween weekend. So we can, after we finish this, we can talk about whether people would rather not do book club that day just because of the day. But we'll talk about that when we finish this book. We still got quite a handful. We've got like 200 something more lines to go. Okay. Where was I? Ah, yes. Trust me, his seasoned father reassured him. They won't hold off long from the cries and clash of battle, not when we and the suitors put our fighting strength to proof in my halls. But now, with daybreak, home you go and mix with that overbearing crowd. The swineherd will lead me into the city later, looking old and broken, a beggar once again. If they abuse me in the palace, steel yourself. No matter what outrage I must suffer, even if they drag me through our house by the heels and throw me out or pelt me with things they hurl, you just look on, endure it. Prompt them to quit their wild, reckless ways, try to win them over with friendly words. Those men will never listen. Now the day of doom is hovering at their heads. One more thing. Take it to heart, I urge you. When Athena, queen of tactics, tells me it is time, I'll give you a nod. And when you catch that signal, round up all the deadly weapons kept in the hall. Stow them away upstairs in a storeroom's deep recess, all the arms and armor. And when the suitors miss them and ask you questions, put them off with a winning story. I stowed them away, clear of the smoke. A far cry from the arms Odysseus left when he went to Troy. Fire-damaged equipment, black with reeking fumes. And God reminded me of something darker, too. When you're in your cups, a quarrel might break out. You'd wound each other, shame your feasting here, and cast a pall on your courting. Iron has powers to draw a man to ruin. That was the it. Yes, look at Odysseus being sneaky. This is why he's known for his metis. Just you leave a pair of swords for the two of us, a pair of spears, and a pair of ox-hide bucklers right at hand, so we can break for the weapons, seize them. Then Athena, Zeus in his wisdom, they will daze the suitors' wits. Now one last thing, bear in mind, you must. If you are my own true son, born of my blood, let no one hear that Odysseus has come home. Don't let Laertes know, not Eumaeus either. None in the household, not Penelope herself. You and I alone will assess the women's mood, and we might test a few of the serving men as well. Where are the ones who still respect us both, who hold us in awe, and who shirk their duties? Slighting you because you are so young? This is smart. Again, we're bringing in the element of, similarly to kind of what he did in Troy, in the story that Helen told back in book 4. She talked about how Odysseus snuck in, disguised as a beggar, into the walls of Troy, because getting one man to sneak in is one thing versus like the whole frickin' army of Achaeans. And he went to Helen and basically sussed her out and then realized she's good and then warned her kind of what the plan was about. We're doing this again. It's a microcosmic scale. This isn't the war at Troy. This is just his home. But we're basically doing the same thing again, and it's smart. Again, he doesn't know who's on his side. He doesn't know who isn't. And people will show their true colors when they don't think you're there. He wants to really see who's loyal and who isn't. Undercover boss. Yeah, literally this is undercover boss. He's going in to suss them out and to figure out who is actually loyal and who isn't, because they're not going to know that he is who he is. He's going to get a real gauge on the truth of these people and see their behavior for himself. Like an online dummy account. I guess you could say that. Yeah. Odysseus with the Mission Impossible theme song moment. It's just, yeah, they're trapped in here with us. It's literally what he's about to pull. It's like, we're not trapped with you, you're trapped with us. But he's also showing to Telemachus, how does one person take on 108? Well, if you get rid of their weapons, that's a really good start. Is the Athena giving hint, Odie said, supposed to be literal or a way of saying? Oh, like when she says, then Athena, Zeus in his wisdom, will daze the suitor. Oh, not that bit. It's Athena tells me it is time, I'll give you a nod. She's essentially going to send him a signal that, like, now's the time. Now, I'm going to tell you that, like, that time, like, it's basically, it would be almost like an omen. It would be a hint, or it could be her coming in. And remember, she can appear to him, and nobody else will see or hear her, but she's talking to Odysseus. She's got that ability. She's a goddess. Now, in the case of the sign that gets thrown of let's start the battle, like ringing the bell for the fight to start, it's pretty fucking dramatic. You can't miss it. But, they call him 007. 0 patients left, 0 fucks given, 700 deaths under him. Ah! That's a good joke. Gotta love the callbacks to Troy. Yeah, no, I mean, that's part of the whole thing, is this is his own personal Troy that he has to go through yet again. Firing his household staff ends with them hanged as a literal severance. Yeah, there's a couple of them who end up that way. There's a couple others who end up with even nastier things happening to them. We're not there yet. But the Athena giving hint is not just a way of saying, it means like literally there's going to be a signal. I mean, it could also be a way of saying, take it both ways. In his case, he could be talking literally because we know Athena is here, and she is kind of giving him little hints and nudges in certain places. But it's also a way of like when the wisdom comes that this is the moment. I'll give you a sign. Basically, we'll pull the old given the little trick. For those who know the film The Sting, which I will tell you is one of the greatest con movies ever made. The classic doing this is the sign. You see that a lot in The Sting. So it's basically, I'll give you the sign. Soon enough, father, his gallant son replied. You'll sense the courage inside me, that I know. I'm hardly a flighty, weak-willed boy these days. But I think your last plan would gain us nothing. Reconsider, I urge you. You'll waste time roaming around our holdings, probing the field hands man by man, while the suitors sit at ease in our house, devouring all our goods. Those brazen rascals never spare a scrap. But I do advise you to sound the women out, who are disloyal to you, who are guiltless. The men, I say no to testing them farm by farm. That's work for later, if you've really seen a sign from Zeus, whose shield is storm and thunder. Okay. Let's talk about this, because Telemachus has said some shit that's out of pocket through the story, and most of the time you can write it off. Why are we talking about the women more than the men? Because the women are the ones who are going to be in the household. It is shown, at least in the Homeric epics, that most of the dolos that we see, these slaves, they are predominantly women. And these women are going to be the ones in the house. If all of this is going to be taking place in the house, the women in the house are the ones you want to suss out because they're the ones who are going to have the greatest impact on the success of your plan or in it getting out. In addition, let's remember that it was a woman who betrayed Penelope to the suitors and absolutely ruined her weaving plan that she had, which spun the suitors around in circles for several years. So Telemachus is saying, yeah, suss them out first because they're the ones who could really fuck our plan up. If it's men off in the fields, they're not there at the house. News is going to get to them later. They're not going to really have the skinny on what's going on. But the people who are in the household, the ones who are right there next to everything, that's the shit you want to check first. And those would be women. The women aren't going to be working the fields. They're going to be maids in the house. They're going to be in the household. Is it sexist? Yeah, let's not deny there's absolutely sexism and patriarchy and misogyny and all this shit at play. It's ancient Greece. You can't escape it. Like, I hate to say it like that, but again, we can't escape it. That's sort of a baseline, unfortunately, for the culture. But what Telemachus says does actually make sense. It is quite shrewd and prudent because he's like, I get that you want to suss out everybody, but we don't have time to do that. Don't waste your time in the fields doing it. Get in the house. The people who are on the inside and closest to where this is all gonna be happening, suss the women out. And again, Telemachus has his reasoning for saying this because we do know that it was a maid who narked out Penelope. It was a woman who narked out Penelope. But we also know we've got Euryclea, our absolute goat, who we know she'll be on our side. But what you really want to see are the maids. Especially the ones who get known as the disloyal maids, who, trust me, we will talk about them even more because they're going to come into play. But Telemachus has his reasoning for saying this. Yes, that does not deny the absolute sexism and like misogyny and all this shit of the age. But he does have his reasoning for saying this. Did any of the maids who slept with the suitors are included in the punishment? You mean like those who get like, if you're going to be punishing, dolos who basically betrayed the family, you punish them. Are we including those maids? Yes, we are infamously going to be including those maids. Don't worry, we're going to have a whole section about them. It's just a later book. It's after the slaughter of the suitors. Scene happens in the house. The guards of the house are the women. Yeah. So it's like what Telemachus is saying makes sense. And again, yeah, he's like, okay, I see what, like, okay, Dad, I see where we're cooking. Here's some things I might point out. Again, Telemachus, he's shrewd. He has to be. He's the son of Odysseus and Penelope. Like, come on now. Yeah, the traitor maids being ancient lady whistledowns. They are not girls. They are not girls. No, they ain't. They are not girls. And we've already set up essentially what happens to disloyal maids who cause damage to the house in which they are, even if, because we heard the story of Eumaeus. This has essentially already been foreshadowed in the story of Eumaeus. We know it's going to end badly for them. I mean, point blank, like baseline, cut and dry, we kind of could have guessed that would happen. But Homer has snuck in a little bit of sneaky foreshadowing there. of letting you know, don't be a Dolos who goes against the people for whom you serve, right? He's like, no, Dad, we got to speed run this. Yeah, I mean, and Telemachus is ultimately right. It's time wasted if you were to go out into the fields and do this, and you run a greater risk of getting caught because it's time you're wasting. You want to get it done as reasonably swiftly as possible because you don't want anybody to catch on to what's happening, right? So again, the 4 is shadowing. Yeah, Telemachus is just a little bit distracted at times, looks at the storage door. Yeah, I know. He can be shrewd, but he is also still young. Again, he will make mistakes that Odysseus would not make because Odysseus has more experience. We will get to that when we get to the slaughter of the suitors. Yes, but he has, but as Draco says here, helping to refine the plan does show his maturity. He has matured. Again, this is his whole journey of maturation. He has matured from the person we met in book 1 who needed Athena to come in and give him all the bullet points. And in this case, he can actively participate in the plan by hearing bullet points going, actually, let me add this on my own. Let me talk to you about it. We've already seen him mature. It's more, subtle and nuanced, but he has matured. Yes, he is a thinking man in his own right, and he isn't weak-willed. He is absolutely a prince, and he has been raised to think and do these things. He's just now getting the chance to prove it. Yes. Less talking, more putting holes in people. Yeah, he's finally getting to put all of this knowledge he's had and this learning he's gotten into practice. And he's also been given great examples such as Nestor and Menelaus, and he's learned a bit of how do you kingly behave. He's heard stories and all of this. He's getting more experience, so now he's getting to put it into practice. Again, it's a story of maturation. Can seem quite subtle. It is very nuanced, but it is a story of maturation, and this is how he's showing it. It's in smaller things, but they're clear changes in how he's having these interactions. Let's get stabulous. Oh my God, that's amazing. Archery practice with moving targets. I know. Now, as father and son conspired, shaping plans, the ship that brought the prince and shipmates back from Pylos was just approaching Ithaca, home port. As soon as they put into the harbor's deep bay, they hauled the black vessel up onto dry land, and eager deckhands bore away their gear, and rushed the priceless gifts to Clytius's? C-L-O-I-T. Clytius's. I'm going to go with Clytius. Clytius's house. And they sent a herald on to Odysseus's halls at once to give the news to thoughtful, cautious Penelope, and that Telemachus was home, just up country now. But he'd told his mates to sail across to port so the noble queen would not be seized with fright and break down in tears. And now those 2 men met, herald and swineherd, both out on the same errand to give the queen the news. But once they reached the house of the royal king, the herald strode up into the serving women's midst and burst out, "Your beloved son, my queen, is home at last." Eumaeus, oh, wait, I forgot to ask earlier. What does he mean by Zeus whose shield is storm and thunder? Oh, okay, Sergio. We mentioned this, I know definitely way back in a different book club, but it was probably way near the beginning. Whose shield is storm and thunder. It's one of his epithets. His shield is the Aegis. It is said when you banged against it, it would make a sound like thunderclaps, and he can bring the storm clouds about him. It's basically saying he's got this magical, it's talking about the Aegis. This magical shield that he's got that he basically gives on essentially indefinite whenever you want loan to Athena, which is so huge. But any more info I've said about the Aegis, I think you can probably find back in book 1. Because we mentioned it. Because I think it's the first time we heard that epithet. Thank you. Somebody get good. Yes, spray bottle. Agnes, thunderclap and flash. The bend and snap, the thunderclap and flash. Sorry, I'm going to stop. I 100% missed that. That's okay. I was going to say it's pretty far back, but I'm fairly certain that's where I first talked about it. I think so, yeah, in the talk between Athena and Zeus, because I'm pretty sure whose shield is storm and thunder, all of that was mentioned. I could actually... Nostos. Earthshaker, Giant Killer, Cleos. I definitely mentioned it, but I can't remember. Whatever. Anyway. Since Athena has the Aegis, can she cause thunder? No, she can't. It doesn't give her any sort of powers akin to Zeus. Aegis also meaning goat is further proof that Athena is the goat. Nice. Yes, unleash the hose at Agnes, please. I know, it's true. They have no riz. Athena was the OG thunderclap headache. She was the OG thunderclap headache. It's true. It puts the Amphinimous away, or else it gets the hose again. I see your reference, Game Wizard. I see you. Where was I? Oh, yes. Eumaeus, though, bending close to Penelope, whispered every word that her dear son entrusted him to say. Message told in full, he left the halls and precincts, headed for his pigs. But the news shook the suitors, dashed their spirits. Out of the halls they crowded, past the high-walled court, and before the gates they sat in council. Polybus's son, Eurymachus, opened up among them. Friends, what a fine piece of work he's carried off. Telemachus, what insolence. And we thought his little jaunt would come to grief. Up now, launch a black ship, the best we can find. Muster a crew of oarsmen. Row the news to our friends in ambush. Fast. Bring them back at once. Isn't the reason it's called Pallas Athena? No, her name Pallas Athena comes from a character named Pallas. We've talked about this. That might also be in book 1. And just then, he'd not quite finished when Amphinomus, wheeling round in his seat, saw their vessel moored in the deep harbor, their comrades striking sail and hoisting oars. He broke into hearty laughter, calling his friends. Let's give him a drink, since we said hearty laughter. Yeah, Agnes, sit down. Sit down, Agnes. Down, Agnes. No need for a message now. They're home. Look here. Some god gave them news while they saw the prince's ship go sailing past and failed to overtake her. Rising, all trooped down to the water's edge as the crew hauled the vessel up on dry land, and the hot-blooded hands bore off their gear. Then in a pack they went to the meeting grounds, suffering no one else, young or old, to sit among them. Rude. Eupeithes' son Antinous rose and harangued them all. What a blow. See how the gods have saved this boy from bloody death. And our lookouts all day long, stationed atop the windy heights, kept watch, shift on shift. And once the sun went down, we'd never sleep the night ashore. Never. Always aboard our swift ship, cruising till dawn, patrolling to catch Telemachus, kill him on the spot. And all the while, some spirit whisked him home. So here at home, we'll plot his certain death. He must never slip through our hands again. That boy. While he still lives, I swear we'll never bring our venture off. Clever little schemer. He does have his skills. The crowds no longer show us favor, not at all. Is this meant to sign the final nail in the coffin, the truest departure from the greatest area to fully breaking Xenia, except just bad Xenia? I mean, we're kind of well past that point. That's a good question, Clever. We are really well past that point. But it's just like, at this point, digging the grave even further. Like, they're in the coffin, they're in the grave, but for some reason they decided to bust out of it and just dig their hole deeper while they're already in the grave. This is just, it's just like, we're going even further beyond. You're just like, dudes, give it up. Like, give it up. Oh my god. Like, the greatest thing I was sitting there going like, these guys are fucking morons. Like, don't they remember the start of the, what the fuck? It's ridiculous. Yeah. Thinking the gods did actually help Telemachus, still plotting, not getting the hint. Yeah, it's really just leaning into like, they're fucking idiots at this point. Could the suitors be put to death if Penelope had heard of their intentions to kill Telemachus? She's gonna read them the riot act for doing it. The problem is she's in, like, her political situation is such that she probably couldn't do it. And it's just a really awkward situation when Odysseus is not there. Like, essentially you would need Odysseus to come in and do it, but Odysseus isn't there. Like, again, this is part of this really awkward limbo that they're in because Odysseus is not declared dead, and yet he's still not here. There's a lot of stuff that's just sort of sitting there that can't really be dealt with, and so it festers, it rots. And so, again, the macrocosm of the kingdom, it's seeming to have fallen by the wayside, seems to be rotting in places, and it's because the king has not been here, and they haven't been able to tend to stuff properly on certain very specific areas because Odysseus is not there. Yeah, it's like the assistant manager trying to fire someone, because they'll be like, well, it doesn't matter if you try, you need the CEO. Like, yeah, she's in power, but also doesn't really have power. Yeah, so she's been navigating this insane political limbo like a champ. Also, the suitors didn't go to business school, so they don't know about cutting your losses. Ain't that truth? So Antinous can face no consequences for getting busted scheming to kill the prince. No one knows about the slaughter. The thing is, busted for scheming to kill the prince. Only the suitors at this point know about this. Now, yes, some other people in the household staff know, and they're going to come to talk to Penelope about it. But it ultimately came to nothing. The whole thing was they were keeping this hella close to the vest. And if it was done on the sea and nobody knew it had happened, that's one thing. The whole point is that, like, waylaying him out on the sea, you have a shit ton of plausible deniability because nobody's there to witness, and you could just be like, well, it's pirates, that sucks. Or, bad storm, man, that sucks. Do Greek queens not act as the king when the king is not around? Not necessarily. Traditionally, no. Now, you could look at something like Helen and Menelaus, which were a massive exception. They're basically a power couple. She probably could, but she's also a daughter of Zeus. So, like, she's in a completely different category. But generally, no. The queens are not considered, like, the king by proxy, because women aren't allowed that much autonomy. Ooh, stuffed olives. Excellent choice. I approve this snack. So yeah, again, Penelope's been, and really the whole house of Odysseus, have been in the worst kind of political limbo they ever had to deal with, especially since the war has ended. People started coming home, and really once the suitors showed up, they exploited the fact it's a political limbo, and there's not much anybody can do about it. Yeah. They are all basically Nepo babies. We've said they're all essentially nobles, sons of nobles. These are all people who were born in some kind of privilege. You don't have any common folk. These aren't just freemen rolling up, or like, these are all essentially coming from nobility of some kind. Yeah, and again, Hades and Persephone, you're talking about gods. Completely different realm of power, like, that's different. So act before he can gather his people in assembly. He'll never give an inch, I know. He'll rise and rage away, shouting out to them all how we schemed his sudden death, but never caught him. Hearing of our foul play, they'll hardly sing our praises. Why, they might do us damage, run us off our lands, drive us abroad to hunt for strangers' shores. So now we see, this is the thing. If they get called out by Telemachus, who's really the only one who can call them out, and he does it publicly for other people to hear, they're in trouble. Again, remember the story that Odysseus told when he's lying and pretending he's from Crete, or even the one that we hear that seer from the line of Melampus says, I killed a guy, so I basically got run out of town. If they, like, again, this was part of the danger of the plan, part of why they wanted to do it, where there was plausible deniability and people might not know it's them, because shit happens on the ocean all the time. But now, if people find out and they get called out, their necks are on the line. They likely might not get killed, but they could get sent basically into exile, run out of town. Yeah, now they start thinking about consequences, except then they turn around and go, okay, well, fuck consequences. Strike first. I say, kill him. Clear of town, in the fields, or on the roads, which is so stupid because someone would totally see that happen. But when we talk a political situation, Telemachus not being there to do anything about it because would cause issues. Better exiled than dead. It's true. Oh yeah, let's put thank you. I saw that, the Discord. And they ain't just cooked, they grilled. They well done at this point. pin this. This is for those who have not yet joined the Discord. That is the link to the Discord. We have many chats on all sorts of topics. Then we'll seize his estates and worldly goods, carve them up between us, share and share alike. But as for his palace, let his mother keep it, she and the man she weds. Because at this point, the house doesn't matter. All that matters is all the property around it, and you've got the power. So sure, keep the house, who cares? But we're going to take all the shit that's in it. We're going to take all the land that's around it. What they're plotting is insane. Now, it's also just like, you guys will never get away with it. It's literally such a pipe dream, there is no reasonable way they would get away with this. There's just no way. Yeah, we are everything, whatever, we're amazing. It's so out of pocket that, like, he's saying this, and even you could tell all the other suitors be listening going, yeah, sure, Antinous, yeah, we'll do that. But it's like, they're all just going like, there's just like, okay, sure. Yeah, Ocean's 11, these suitors are not. Yeah, it's like he's saying all this, but all the other suitors are just gonna be like, yeah, sure, we'll kill him. I'm like, bruh, no way. They'd never get away with it, like, ever, at this point. Antinous is just raging. Like, you're just listening to a man be angry and shake fist at sky and rage at cloud. That's kind of what Antinous is doing. He's laying out all this plots, but it's so nonsensical, nobody's gonna take it fucking seriously. There's my plan. If you find it offensive, if you want him living on in full command of his patrimony, which is part of the thing, do remember, Telemachus basically said, I'm stepping into my own, I'm leaving. When I come back, on your heads be it. He is trying to fend this off, but, like, let's be real, they still don't take Telemachus seriously. Gather here no more then, living the life of kings, consuming all his wealth. So they know exactly what they're doing. Each from his own house must try to win her, showering her with gifts. Then she can marry the one who offers most, the man marked out by fate to be her husband. That brought them all to a hushed, stunned silence. Basically, they're all like, because they're listening going, yeah, I get he's mad, but he can't be serious, right? Till Amphinomus rose to have his say among them. The noted son of Nisus, King Aretias's grandson, the chief who led the suitors from Dulichion, land of grass and grains, and the man who pleased Penelope the most. Okay. Agnes, right now, just everybody spray Agnes with water. Just let's cut this off first. Now, this is the one time I will give credit to Wilson. Her translation of this introduction of Amphinomus. He was intelligent. Penelope preferred his speeches over other man's. That's a far more literal translation of what is said, and this is true. Basically, Penelope is fine with his words, with his manners. In that, if she's going to have to listen to these dumb fucks, she'll listen to the guy who talks best. But that does not mean she likes him. Even this line, Penelope preferred him best. There have been some people who apparently run with that idea, meaning she liked him. No, she didn't. Because let's make no mistake. We talked about how this is a siege. What she is dealing with is an assault. These men have come into her home, have refused to leave, have every single day, morning through night, for 3 years, encamped themselves in her home, demanded she marry them, given her no rest, to the point that she needs to get help from the gods to get a night's sleep, because the level of stress that something like this, which is essentially stalking and home invasion, has upon the person who's dealing with it, is immense. Unfortunately, I can speak from experience of having to essentially deal with someone who stalks you and sends you shit unsolicited and constantly disrespects a boundary and tries to get in contact with you. It's stressful. And she's dealing with that times 108 and umped to the umpteenth degree. So they're ancient Greek squatters. Even beyond that, it's more than squatters. They're also demanding she marry them. And again, but like a baseline, yeah, they're squatters, but it goes even further again because they're trying to get her to marry him. They, are, as they say, trying to bleed them white. They are breaking her down. They are systematically trying to break her down by giving her no break. And the same goes for Telemachus. What they are doing is so wrong, is such a violation, and it was understood at the time by the Greeks that that's what they were doing. Make no mistake. These guys exist as an obstacle that must be dealt with. They are walking sin, if you will. They are, without doubt, not to be pitied. They are not to be liked. All of these things, they are the worst of the worst. And everything they do from the start of the Odyssey, even just frankly, them being there at the start of the Odyssey and their behavior there is already be like, these men must die. Like the phrase John Tucker must die, that book or movie, whatever, the suitors must die. The moment we open the Odyssey, because they've already been there for 3 years, frankly, the moment they rolled up and started this shit, they deserve to die. But at this point, there is nothing that could ever possibly save them. Because they are breaking, yes, as you say, slowly breaking down their victim like any abuser. That is absolutely what is happening with the suitors, make no mistake. Every single one of them is guilty of this. The reason I say that, and Agnes, you know I'm spritzing you with the bottle. Now, to be fair, for those who don't know, we love to constantly tease Agnes because she likes Amphinomus. We know Agnes likes Amphinomus. Now, as I always say, you want to like your villain, you want to like your morally gray character, you want to like your genuine garbage piece of shit bad guy, I don't care. Go for it. Literally, I have no judgment. I'm a fan of the Phantom of the Opera, and I root for the Phantom while acknowledging that he's a murderer and a groomer and a extortionist and many other things. But, as I say, I acknowledge he is a garbage piece of shit. I like plenty of these Greek heroes. They're all pieces of shit. They are all hot messes. They're all terrible. But I acknowledge that. I don't ever try to turn them into good people. And that's something I always want to say. If you're a fan of any of the suitors, and I have no problem, because I get the idea of wanting to like the villain and all of these things. But you always have to acknowledge that what they do and who they are is terrible people. Like, there is no scenario in which any one of these suitors is better or worse than the other. They are all equally terrible. They are all equally abusers in this situation. Every single one of them. And Amphinomus, especially by what he's about to say and the way that he behaves, is kind of the early archetype of the nice guy. And you guys all know what I mean by the nice guy. He thinks himself morally superior to the rest of the suitors in how he speaks to them because he can speak better, right? He definitely thinks he's better than the rest of these guys. He goes, but I'm the nice guy. I didn't participate in trying to kill Telemachus. Bruh, that doesn't make you better. But I have good manners. Bruh, that doesn't make you better. And Amphinomus is absolutely the nice guy. And he is there, but he is therefore doomed to die. The fact that he's there already sealed his fate. There's nothing nice about him. None of them are nice. Like, cool story, bro, still abuse. Cool story, bro, still murder, right? Like, and that's something I just always want to make clear. Because again, I can totally understand there being a fandom for the suitors and like people, or it, especially coming from Epic. The guy who voices Antinous has an amazing voice. And you like the bad guy and all of these things. That's fine. My real problem for any of that comes from when people will then try to either change the character completely, and again, recognize your headcanon versus the actual canon, or try to say, but I like them so they can't be that bad of a guy. It's like, or you like them and they're still garbage. Speaking of Phantom of the Opera, Music of the Night was one of the songs I used to try and learn to sing, but I think I tried running before I could walk in. Oh my god. Music of the Night is not friendly. I think its highest note is an A flat above the staff. It's a nasty tenor part on some of the higher parts. It's a great song though. It's one of the best songs in the musical, let's be real. I mean, and that's a musical full of banger songs, I say in a highly biased manner. A character's morality does not reflect your own, like your villains, acknowledge your wrongs. Exactly. Just because you like a bad character does not necessarily mean you are a bad person. There is something about you that attracts you to that character. It's not I would hope it's not a reflection of your morality, but you cannot try to change that character's morality just because you like them. Does this make sense? Yeah, Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, Hannibal Lecter's a good example. Was polite and cordial, but that didn't stop him from murdering people and eating them. Yeah. And I'm sure tons of us love the character of Hannibal Lecter, me included, whether he's being portrayed by Brian Cox, Sir Anthony Hopkins, or by Mads Mikkelsen. The character of Hannibal Lecter is so intriguing, and we love like him being on screen. Doesn't deny, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a murderer. Yeah, you can tell all the suitors are bad. None of them are described as having thunder thighs. Bless you, Scarlet King. Bless you. That's brilliant. Yeah, Palpatine, a mild-mannered politician on the surface, and a homicidal Sith beneath the scenes. Oh, Sir Anthony Hopkins is so good. Okay, well, the Jekyll and Hyde thing is a phenomenal example because Hyde is the actual truth. Jekyll tries to constantly say, you could say, of the nice guy, but I'm not that. I didn't do those things. Hyde is him. Hyde is just him when he's not trying to adhere to societal rules. He has every dark impulse that Jekyll has. Hyde is the greater truth than Jekyll. And Hyde is like, of course you did those things. I'm you. We're the same. Right? So that's, yeah. No glorious thighs, you must be a bad guy, it's true. Jekyll is ultimately the facade, but Jekyll thinks he's the truth. And that's, you could say, the thing with Amphinomus. He thinks he's the Jekyll. In fact, he's been the Hyde this whole time. His behavior has proven it. Never forget that, like, anything he says here almost doesn't matter. His behavior proves who he is, and his behavior has been going on for 3 years. So I had to put that. To be fair, let's everybody know Agnes knew this was coming. One, I have lectured Agnes about this on numerous times in the Discord, and she knew this was coming. Not a single, exactly, Homer. You know they're evil. How do I know? Not a single one of them was hot. Clearly evil. Pure evil, not one of them is hot. We'll have a note about Penelope's not liking Amphinomus because word positioning. Ooh, I'm excited for that. Mariana can prove this even further. That, like, no, Penelope does not like him. We know this. It's so clear. But because I think some people read the translations and don't understand, again, even in the English, I can see the nuance in this passage of, like, please Penelope the most. I'm like, okay, but consider context. You mean she can tolerate sitting next to him the most? It doesn't mean she likes him. We've made it so clear Penelope doesn't like any of these suitors. She doesn't want them here. That's been made clear from book 1. Book 1, this has been made clear, but apparently people forget that by the time they get to book 16. I don't know. Yeah, it's like in the movies, just the bad guy not have an iPhone, but the good guys do, then you know who's evil. Oh, that's good. I like that. And so, yeah, so as I was saying, like, Amphinomus, like all the other suitors, is not a good guy. Nor are they meant to be pitied for their inevitable fate that's coming for them. You know, they're an obstacle to be defeated. They're a perpetrator of continued assault and abuse upon Penelope, upon Telemachus, upon the entire house of Odysseus. They deserve to die. Every author ever. Only, yeah, we love you, Agnes, refilling the spray bottle. Bless. Yeah, we love you, Agnes, still holding the hose. Exactly. They made their bed 3 years ago. They've been lying in it. And again, digging their grave deeper. They're just digging their way to Tartarus at this point. It's like, oh my god. As I said, we only tease Agnes over the Amphinomus thing because Agnes has had moments of letting her headcanon come and infiltrate the actual canon. That's the only reason we tease Agnes, because Agnes likes to try and constantly say that Amphinomus is not that bad, but he's all this. And we're like, no. This is why. So for those who don't know, this is why we tease Agnes. This goes on in the Discord a lot, and she knows we do this out of love. Yeah, Hades to the suitors when they arrive. And what did we learn? Or rather, and what did we apparently fail to learn over the course of 3 goddamn years? The Titans and Tartarus saw the suitors drilling past them a few hours ago. I know, I would normally never praise Wilson, but I am willing to give a kudo where a kudo is deserved. That's very accurate, like, translation, and I think gets the point across in a far more literal way. Again, she in some places tries to be hyper literal and strips some of the poetry out of it, whereas here we say the man who pleases Penelope the most. It's very poetic, it's mellifluous, it flows off the tongue, but there are people who might misunderstand that. A rare Wilson dub. Is that her only dub? What if the suitor's gone to Tartarus? No. What they're doing is horrible, but it's not quite the level of sacrilege that will get you down to Tartarus. We talked about this a lot, I think, in the Underworld episode, where it was like, what did it take to get you to go into Tartarus? So if you go to, like, book 12, our discussion, because that's when we're in the Underworld, we talked a lot about the Underworld and about Tartarus and stuff like that. This is not on the level that would get you there. It's horrible, but it's not on the level. Yeah, Penelope. Well, at least this guy doesn't sound like a total idiot. I can tune out to this. I'm not actively... Nausicaa saved by Athena. Everybody can have their head cannons. Just never confuse it with actual canon. We all have our, let's be real, everyone's got their head cannons. In my head canon, the Phantom and Christine end up together, but I know unfortunately that's not the deal. Twitch. No, we don't acknowledge Love Never Dies and or the Phantom of Manhattan. Twitch, because even then they don't end up together. It's fine. Evil and stupid isn't ultimate malice. It's also not heresy, basically, or sacrilege on the level that gets you into Tartarus. You have to do something so beyond the pale, and usually to a god at some point, to get thrown into Tartarus. Yeah. Hades, yeah, well, Theseus and Pirithous rolled up because Pirithous said, I deserve to have Persephone as my bride. And Hades went, wow, sit on this bench, let's talk about it. And he let Theseus go, because Theseus was there and being an idiot, but Pirithous is the one who thought he deserved the queen of the underworld as his bride. Again, the level of stupid in that story is so high. Yeah, no, I stand by Raoul wasn't a good choice either, but like, so, you know. But I have to acknowledge that, yes, the Phantom is a groomer, extortionist, murderer, and so, yikes. Oh no, the frat house. Oh yeah, no, yeah, she is having to live in a frat house, the worst kind. Because her house, most redeemable Tartarus resident, none of them. None of them. Not a single one. They're all really horrendous. True, and only when Heracles came to... Well, Heracles was there to ask about taking Cerberus. He was doing one of his labors. He saw Theseus and Pirithous there, so he was allowed to let Theseus go. Pirithous, they still didn't allow to go. Yeah, have a seat. Let's talk about that. You dumbass motherfucker, what are you trying? Yeah, he did say it with his whole chest. He didn't even applaud the audacity. He just went, that's cute, Pumpkin. Like, it wasn't even applauding the audacity. It's just, oh, that's cute, Pumpkin. You have no idea. Yeah, there's nothing good or redeemable in Tartarus. Not a single character in there. Not a one. Yeah, Team Christine, she forgets about both them and focuses on her career. Amen. But also kind of Team Carlotta, she got unfairly fucked. Let's be real. Team Carlotta and Christine would have been a great power duo in terms of trading off who did which roles better, but whatever. Anyway, getting distracted. Back to Agnes's man getting to speak. Friends, I've no desire to kill Telemachus, not I. It's a terrible thing to shed the blood of kings. Wait. Sound out the will of the gods. That first, the decrees of mighty Zeus commend the work. I'll kill the prince myself, and spur on all the rest. If the gods are against it, then I say, hold back. So Amphinomus urged, and won them over. They rose at once, returned to Odysseus' palace, entered, and took their seats on burnished chairs. But now an inspiration took the discreet Penelope to face her suitors, brutal, reckless men. The queen had heard it all, how they plotted inside the house to kill her son. The herald, going a little Macbeth here, Amphia, it's so true, it's so true. The herald Medon told her he'd overheard their schemes, and this was the danger of fucking scheming, people are gonna hear you. Idiots. And so, flanked by her ladies, she descended to the hall, that luster of women, once she reached her suitors, drawing her glistening veil across her cheeks, paused now where a column propped the sturdy roof, and rounding on Antinous, cried out against him. You, Antinous, violent, vicious, scheming, you, they say, are the best man of your age in Ithaca, best for eloquence, counsel. You're nothing of the sort. Madman, why do you weave destruction for Telemachus? Show no pity to those who need it, those over whom almighty Zeus stands guard. It's wrong, unholy, yes, weaving death for those who deserve your mercy. Don't you know how your father fled here once? A fugitive, terrified of the people up in arms against him because he'd joined some Taphian pirates out to attack the Sprotians, sworn allies of ours. The mobs were set to destroy him, rip his life out, devour his vast wealth to their heart's content. But Odysseus held them back. He kept their fury down. And this is the man whose house you waste scot-free, whose wife you court, whose son you mean to kill. You make my life an agony. Stop. I tell you, stop all this and make the rest stop too. But Polybus's son Eurymachus tried to calm her. Did the mention of the veil at the beginning of Penelope's speech meant to draw your attention to the symbol of her loyalty to Odysseus? Yes. Penelope is known for this veil, and particularly of how even when her father was begging them to stay in Sparta and not go back to Ithaca, she drew her veil. She symbolized that she is loyal to Odysseus. She's with her new husband. She's like, Dad, I get it, but I gotta go. This is absolutely that moment. If you want to know about Tartarus, Alicia, go back to the book 12. Go back to book 12, our book 12 discussion. We're not going to, Tartarus doesn't really apply here, so we're not going to talk about it. And we talked about it kind of at length in book 12. Oh yeah, this is totally her burn book time. Penelope has come down to read him the riot act, but also the fact that she's announcing the whole, now here's the thing, she knows what he's up to, but it's only the suitors and her staff who are here, so they know, but she's also giving it a chance. If she were to have said this in front of an assembly of other people, like other people from Ithaca, oh my God, shit would have hit the fans. She's giving it a warning that I'm fucking sick of your shit. I could go tell people all this. She's also just like, don't forget where you came from, kid. Yeah, she can't hold it in any longer. But Eurymachus is going to step in. Wise Penelope, daughter of Icarius, courage. Disabuse yourself of all these worries now. That man is not alive. He never will be. He never can be born. Who will lift a hand against Telemachus, your son? Not while I walk the land and I can see the light. I tell you this, so help me, it will all come true. In an instant that man's blood will spurt around my spear. My spear. Since time and again Odysseus dandled me on his knees. Yeah. Great raider of cities fed me roasted meat and held the red wine to my lips. So to me, your son is the dearest man alive. And I urge the boy to have no fear of death. Not from the suitors, at least. What comes from the gods? There's no escaping that. Encouraging all the way, but all the while plotting the prince's murder in his mind. Two-faced snake. Freaking ungrateful, lying, patronizing. Yeah, exactly, literally. Ungrateful, lying, patronizing, sleazy, passive-aggressive Eurymachus, how dare you? As even Homer calls him out, encouraging all the way, but all the while plotting murder in his mind. He says, you full of shit, you piece of shit. Oh my God, it's absolute slimy gaslighter. Like, the way, it's so patronizing. And you can imagine, she's like, boy, oh, if I could smack you, I would. If she could, she would. Oh my God, can you imagine? Because he's even talking about, like, I was, like, you know, he bounced me on his knee. I was a kid. She's like, oh my God, can I hit him already? Ugh. It's, ugh. Ooh. They're all so insufferable. The queen, going up to her lofty, well-lit room, fell to weeping for Odysseus, her beloved husband, till watchful Athena sealed her eyes with welcome sleep. Again, the only time we hear of Penelope sleeping at all in the Odyssey is when Athena comes and assists her to do it. She is so stressed she can't. And you can imagine even gathering up the energy to go down and read someone the riot act like that had to take everything out of her. Oh my God, that had to literally just like, at that point, there's not much gas left in the tank. So poor fucking Penelope's going through it. But she had her moment, and now she's like, okay, I can't stand up anymore. Like, so Athena's like, I got you, girl. I got you, girl. You get your sleep. Returning just at dusk to Odysseus and his son, the loyal swineherd found they'd killed a yearling pig, and standing over it now were busy cooking supper. But Athena had approached Laertes' son Odysseus, tapped him with her wand, and made him old again. She dressed him in filthy rags too, for fear Eumaeus, recognizing his master face to face, might hurry back to shrewd Penelope, blurting out the news and never hide the secret in his heart. Basically, bless his heart, Eumaeus is too excited. Just get a little too excited. Why use melatonin when you can have Melathena? Nice. Yeah, oh no, what happened? Someone should check on him. Literally, Mortimus's moment there is one of my favorite things I've ever experienced, which I did not see the animatic that she was reacting to, but oh my God, listening to her like cackle her way through that gave me such life. I quote it all the time. I do, all the time. Like, even completely out of context to people who have no idea what I'm quoting. It's the greatest thing ever. Yeah, I'm about to unleash a punishment we forgot to give you. Yeah. Telemachus was the first to greet the swineherd. Welcome home, my friend. What's the talk in town? Are the swaggering suitors back from ambush yet, or still waiting to catch me coming home? You answered the prince, Eumaeus, loyal swineherd. I'd no time to go roaming all through town digging around for that. My heart raced me on to get my message told and rush back here. But I met up with a fast runner there, sent by your crew, a herald, first to tell your mother all the news. And this I know, I saw with my own eyes. I was just above the city heading home, clambering over Hermes' ridge, when I caught sight of a trim ship pulling into the harbor, loaded down with a crew aboard her, shields, two-edged spears. I think they're your men you're after. I'm not sure. At that, the young Prince Telemachus smiled, glancing toward his father, avoiding Eumaeus' eyes. And now, with the roasting done, the meal set out, they ate well, and no one's hunger lacked a proper share of supper. When they'd put aside desire for food and drink, they remembered bed and took the gift of sleep. And that is where chapter 16 ends. Chapter 17 is called Stranger at the Gates. We're going to have Odysseus get his first look at what's going on in his house. So he's sussing out the kingdom. Soon he's got to start sussing out his house. So there we get Athena tucking Penelope into bed and going, uh-oh, better check on the other side of the family. That swineherd's coming back. Yeah, well, I give him the bit of an accent, but I try to make it not as thick as I could make it because he's technically a foreigner, but he's lived here long enough that he would have picked up a bit of an accent, right? What is Hermes Ridge? Just naming a bit of geography. Like, to be fair, I'm gonna be real with you. Homer's understanding of the geography of Western Greece is tenuous at best. So, like, Hermes Ridge might not even be an actual place. Though I'll check the notes here, see if he gives me. Nope, not a thing. Hermes Ridge, probably just like saying it's a rocky place. It's rocky, it's hilly, very typical of a lot of Greek topography, especially the islands. Antinous is the one trying to mollify, gaslight Penelope after she reads him the riot act. No, what? Wait, what? She doesn't bring up Eurymachus as the one who does that whole sleazy, slimy, like, gaslighting speech? She literally cuts him out? Are you kidding? That's horrifying to me. Like, a move is a translate. How can you say you're translating something and you literally cut an entire bit? Oh my God. I take back my kudo. I know, yeah. And Mariana and I both sitting there in shock, like, the fuck you mean? That's not even rage bait, that's just offensive. What do you mean you just modified the story? You literally changed who spoke? The fuck? We thought we were having a moment. It died. A screenshot. Yes, please, because I want to rage at it properly. um, she's negative kudos now. Yeah, we're back in the negative. Are there any more questions specifically for book 16, or I'll leave it open up to books 1 through 16 within reason? But is the next one going to require, does the Odyssey include Ctemene? She gets mentioned. Last book club we did, book 15, we talked about her a little bit, mainly in that Eumaeus was kind of raised beside her, which tells us a lot about how Eumaeus, even though he's a tolos, he's a slave, he was treated kind of even, he's a not normal dolos. He's treated in a different way. We also know, yes, that she was obviously married to Eurylochus, and that he paid a very handsome bride price for her, like a reverse dowry. Like he paid quite a bit. So that's really all we know about her. Her only appearance in the Odyssey is by reference. She does not appear actively in the story, and there's really no myths about her. Odysseus' possessions have included the scepter, and who would have gotten that? They absolutely would have been trying to take that. Probably would have been divvied out to, like, kind of was first come, first serve, but they likely would have gone to either Antinous or Eurymachus. They're kind of the two highest standing of the suitors. Unless someone like Telemachus would have been able to get it hidden where no one could find it. But yeah, if they were going to start robbing the house blind, probably Antinous or Eurymachus would have been trying to take it. Wilson! It's true. I was lying down, now I'm sat. What? Oh God, Mariana. Yeah, if we've gone from you lying down to having to sit up, I know, I'm shocked. I'm shook at that. We'll be the one to require a trigger warning. 2 weeks from today. For what? For abuse of the elderly and the disguised elder? Because we are absolutely going to have some nasty behavior towards Odysseus. I'm trying to remember exactly what happens here. Oh! Yes, I do apologize. I'm going to have to warn you now. Next book is the Argos. It's the Argos moment. It will be the Argos moment. We will give a warning for the Argos moment. That will be the next book. Oh, next book club is 1025. Yeah, it's true. I know. We'll have to do the Argos moment. We will, pour a libation out for Argos. We will give the goodest. I'm actually really shocked and appalled Wilson did something that offensive. Like, look, I don't like her approach to translation. I have not enjoyed any bits of the translation that she's got, that have been told to me so far. I will give the one most minute of kudos for the Amphinomous thing, but hearing that's shocking and appalling, quite frankly. But yes, Argos bestest boy. We will have to, next book club, we will raise a glass for him. We will get to cuddle the dogs. Yes, we will have to all cuddle our babies extra close in honor of Argos. Can we do a Wilson and cut the Argos scene? No, we have to do it. I know. It's going to hurt, but we have to do it. Argos for godhood. Honestly, that's my headcanon. My headcanon is he is now a divine pupper in the sky. Yes, no crying on birthdays due to Argos. We don't do that. Peg, can I borrow your crown? There. Peg, what do you think? I know it does look better on you. Yeah, Argos in the Elysian Fields, 100%. That's my headcanon. Also, Homer foreshadowing it in this book is kind of mean. It really is. It's so mean. I know. Everyone, once again, please spray Agnes with the spray bottle. I know you tagged it silly, but someone give her a spritz. Quick little spritz. Argos on puppy playdates with Cerberus, that's my headcanon. Absolutely my headcanon. Argos goes on puppy playdates with Cerberus. Unleashes the hose. Oh my god. Argos, god of dogs. That might be Cerberus, but he gets to chill there too. Aww. Thank you, Clover. I'm so glad you were able to make it this time. It's good to see you appear. I know you've had your health issues. Oh my god, with a Poseidon level hose. Thank you for... I feel like we missed you in the last book club when you didn't have any questions, our king of questions. But take care of yourself, Clover. That's the important one. Important thing. Argos like tiny cat on big dog, snuggling atop Cerberus. This is my headcanon. This is my headcanon. Absolutely 100% my headcanon. But yes, any questions related to books 1 to 16 of the Odyssey? Stuff that we've covered, stuff you wondered about, etc., and so forth. So everyone ignoring the hounds of Ares and Artemis, because they're just called hounds and they aren't named. But they are also goodest boys and goodest girls. Blanket, we meet dog, is bestest boy and bestest girl. Aww. Happy birthday, Falco. This is like a birthday party where we're just chilling and reading the Odyssey. They're Molossian hounds. They are bestest boys and bestest girls. They just don't have names. That's all. Wolfie's. I have not seen Wolfie's animatic with Argos. I don't know if I'm prepared for that. Big sister. I am the eternal eldest sister being like, you taking care of yourself? Good. I'm a mess. That doesn't matter. You taking care of yourself? Artemis and Ares' hounds come down for puppy play dates. What kind of dog was Argos? We don't actually know. His breed is never specified, so far as I know. So basically you'd have to go through and, like, that would require research of, like, do we know anything about dog breeds in, like, ancient Greece, Bronze Age, or even probably archaic age Greece? Like, what? I don't know. That I can tell you I'm stumped. I don't know. As far as I know, it's never been specified, so you would have to essentially do research to be like, what version of dog breeds were around at this time in this area, and then you can maybe guesstimation around there. Newly Dead. Didn't expect to see dogs playing in the foyer. Me, Newly Dead, going, excellent, the dogs are playing in the foyer. Yeah, there's speculation, literally just sort of based on research of what are the possibilities, but the breed is never specified by ancient authors. But that's a good question. A Greek harehound, probably. That would, I mean, like, it would make sense. You'd go for some sort of Greek thing, and you'd assume he's a hound. He's a working dog. Don't remember, is Eurylochus king of Same or just a prince? I believe he is just a prince. A prince of Same. Or a nobleman of Same, essentially. Prince, nobleman. He's not the king. He's not a king, so he's under Odysseus. I mean, even if he were a king of Same, he's clearly, like, Odysseus as king of Ithaca has Eurylochus under his purview. But I do believe he was just a prince. It's a hunting dog in his youth last I checked, so that helps narrow it down. True. Did Penelope spend... Ah, you have a full quest. Yeah. Sighthounds were popular. That would make sense. And if you're hunting hares, yeah, a sighthound would be good for that. In ancient Egypt and Rome. Yeah, would make sense. And I'm sure there's some version that was being used in Greece. Honestly, I don't know enough. I can be totally real and say I don't know enough about that topic. Penelope spent the majority of her time in her room. Especially from the time the suitors would have arrived, yeah, she would have. She would have, because the suitors are not going to breach her private quarters. That would be too far even for them. Absolutely not. So she would be like, yes, I'm a woman, I'm retreating to my private quarters, I will do womanly things with other women's, which is basically like they would assume weaving and who knows what else. So yeah, she would have spent a lot of her time there because then she doesn't have to deal with the suitors. People pronouncing Persephone as Persephone. As Persephone? It's very incorrect. Look, I can understand looking at a word and not knowing how it's pronounced and your brain is going to try and make sense of it. I very much sympathize with that because we've all done that. Like, we all have words we think we know how they're said until somebody else says it. And then we start to be like, oh shit, it's pronounced, okay, I'd never heard it pronounced that way. Mistakes happen. It's very wrong though, but I can actually see the logic of why their brain does that. General Greek myth question. I know choosing Helen's husband was handled by her human father and he allowed her to pick. Did gods ever weigh in on their human children's future spouses? Pretty much no. No, it was very unlikely because they weren't as actively involved in their human children's lives. Oftentimes they might care more about their divine children than anything else. I mean, think of Zeus and all the children he had. He cared more about the fate of his divine children usually than anything else, unless said child was going to be like a hero, in which case he'd be like, I sort of keep an eye, but I'm not actively involved. They didn't generally weigh in. And even with Helen, yeah, Helen got very much the rare chance to choose her husband. Now, this is because she's a daughter of Zeus. She's given elements of power, like small little moments almost of kind of autonomy and power, which really are because she's a daughter of Zeus. But generally, the gods with their human children are not going to care about their human marriages. They're really not invested. Some of them might be on like specific occasions, but in general, no. Thetis is the only one divine children that's given in marriage. That I can think of, really? Thetis, yeah, because Aphrodite isn't a child of Zeus, even though he does kind of handle her marriage. Thetis is really kind of the only. Well, I mean, technically Persephone. Technically also Persephone. But those are really the only instances. Deadbeat divine dad. Deadbeat divine dads, plural. They were all having children. Did gods ever have miscarriages? Not that I can think of. It's a good question, actually. I do not know. I've never heard of that. Now, they might give birth to things that are, you could say, like even what might be considered esoterically monstrous. I mean, look at Gaia, who birthed, the 100-handers and 3 Cyclopes and all of these. And Uranus thought they were disgusting, and she's often said to be also the mother of like Typhon and Echidna, which are monstrous, but they're not miscarriages per se. It's a miracle the House of Atreus didn't send a suitor, given the curse upon them just doesn't look more bad. I mean, House of Atreus did send a suitor. Technically. Menelaus was there. Hephaestus was it's not that he was, but he's not a miscarriage, and he's not even really a failed birth. I mean, one, it depends on which version of you read, in that a lot of the more common mythology is that he is solely Hera's son, and so she tried to do it basically on her own without Zeus, and so it came out wrong. But that's not a miscarriage. Miscarriage involves loss of the baby, right? Did Ares have any dislike or hatred toward Athena? Did he not like that she's favorite? Yes. Oh, Ares was absolutely bitter about it. 100%. But also, Ares was nobody's favorite. Nobody liked Ares except for Aphrodite, and even then, did she like him, or did she just like his dick? I mean, like, damn, okay, I guess she got dickmatized by that. I don't know. I'm so sorry I quoted that. Hephaestus, Frankenstein, kinda. Oh yeah, I forgot. I misremember thinking that Menelaus was just more of a, hey, here's an update on Odysseus. Oh no, Menelaus was absolutely there with his hat put in the ring. And actually in some cases he's not even there. It's Agamemnon there on behalf of Menelaus. Menelaus was absolutely there as a suitor, and she chose him with good reason. And she ended up in frankly, they have a great marriage. The whole Trojan War thing is, one, not her fault. And the only real, air quotes, blip that happens in their marriage. Other than that, they have a really functional, very powerful, united front marriage. Ares and Athena, they did fight on opposite sides of the Iliad. Ares, let's just be fair, that Ares doesn't get along with, like, any of the gods. They all get very annoyed at them. There's a famous story of Otis and Ephialtes, who are these giant sons of Poseidon who try to lead a coup against the Olympians. And at one point they trap Ares in like a jar. And the gods just kind of leave him there. They're literally like, do we have to let him out? Like, do we have to let Ares out? There's a moment where they're like, do we have to? Like, nobody likes Ares. He drives everyone insane. They're all just like, oh my god. Ah, you man-child. Literally, Menelaus and Helen have the most iconic relationship. And for those who are in the Discord, I had posted my notes for book 15, which wonderfully include notes from Mariana, where she notes that, like, they literally are a power couple. And Helen is able to do things. Helen is absolutely wearing the pants in that relationship. And Menelaus is very okay with it. Like, they have an extremely functional and strong marriage. It's like almost ridiculous. Yeah, Menelaus and Helen are one of the healthiest couples you'll see in Greek mythology. Like, they make it work. I know mortals were generally cool with spouses having kids with gods. Not always. Was there risk in not believing your spouse's child is from a god, not another human? Oh, that would never be a good idea. That would never be a good idea, because if you're wrong, that god could fuck you up if they wanted to, because you're insulting the god's honor at the same time. Most of the time, you never see them really doubt it. They're not always happy with it. Let's make that clear. Is there a risk in lying that a child born from another human was a god's child? Yeah, because you're impugning the god's honor in that way, too. So, like, you don't make that claim, essentially, unless it's true. In the mythology, at least, because it would end up poorly for you. In some way. Because you're playing fast and loose with the reputation of a god. Who would you say the healthiest relationship among the gods? Oh, fuck. Hestia and the Hearth. You know what? That would be a Tartarus-worthy offense, because you're impugning the honor of a god. But Hestia and the Hearth. Hestia chilling at the hearth going, I ain't fucking dealing with any of this shit. Yeah, it'd be the same line as comparing yourself to the gods except with your children, which ends badly for you. There's infamously a queen who does do that. She says, I'm better than Leto. My children are better because Leto only had 2. I had 7, or 7 sons and 7 daughters. So Artemis and Apollo are like, bitch, you said what about our mom? And roll up and murder all of her children. Like, consequences. Consequences. Where the god's like, you're really claiming I'm involved here? Really? You think your child is related to me? Bitch. Step off. Since it got buried, why didn't say Orestes go to Ithaca to be a suitor? Same with Pisistratus. They don't gain anything. All the people who are here are from other smaller islands. No one's from the mainland because those are more powerful kingdoms. Pisistratus has no reason to show up. It gives him nothing. In fact, he'd be like downgrading. Orestes is currently a little busy. Orestes hasn't been home this whole while, and he's busy currently dealing with the whole mother murdering his father thing, and then having to he's ruling his own kingdom. Again, he gains nothing from it. Like, these would be such downgrades for them. It's not worth it. Which dog are we asking about? Are we asking about mine? Peg? She's a French bulldog. It's not even it's not even it's a risk. It's just not worth it. There's no reward for it. Like, absolutely all of this, like, they are more powerful, they are richer, they're more important, frankly. It's just not worth it. Estia is totally ghosting the chat. It's true. Were problems ever caused by humans not knowing they slept with a god and their children has a god parent? Not knowing they slept with the god? They usually know. It's never really a secret. The god can't help but reveal it at the end. But there were absolutely problems caused by humans having relations with gods in terms of, like, other people in their lives might not love it. I mean, look what happens to the mother of Perseus. Like, poor woman, her father locks her in a fucking tower because he hears she's gonna have a son that kills him, and then when she does, do the deed with a golden shower that is Zeus? Don't ask, I don't know. He throws her in like a chest and tosses her into the sea with her baby. Like, yeah, shit could happen. It sucked. Bye, Sergio. Yeah, I think people have said we should do the Oresteia after the Iliad. I think that was the general consensus. That or the Argonautica. Um, I don't know which one we'd do first. Poor Danae. Yeah, like she did nothing wrong. Yeah, exactly. But her father still locked her and her baby in like a chest and tossed them into the sea. Like Jesus. My vote is the Argonautica. Yeah. Done that in more of an oubliette, not a tower. Whatever version it was. Have you watched Heart or heard? I've heard of Blood of Zeus. I've not watched it. It doesn't really have any interest for me. But I've heard of it. Oubliette. It's a good word. Nice, Jacob. Coin flip. So then maybe it makes sense to do the Oresteia, because then we can do the Argonautica and follow it up with Medea. Oresteia is pretty short, too. They're plays, so they're not very long compared to full-blown epics. But we can coin flip. We'll get there when we get there. We got to finish Odyssey and do the Iliad first. Oh, all the pets to the snoring baby girl here. Oh, the Iliad is so fun. I adore the Iliad. Like, oh my God. I just love big Greek men being big and messy. So messy. Hair almost down to your knees. Wow, Falco, that's an insane amount of hair. I, too, once had long hair, almost down to about my waist. Then I basically chopped it all off and never went back. And I'm pretty fine with my short hair. Never really have wanted to grow it back out since. Yeah, Oresteia is technically related to the Iliad and related to the story that we've been talking about, but yes, we'll get there when we get there. The great and holy Peg does deserve all the pets. You back down? Okay. Short hair crew. Do you know of any hypotheses about why the ancient Greeks had such a promiscuous godfather? Like, what was the thought psychology behind it? Like, why did Zeus have so many kids? Most of the time when he's having these children, they end up being great heroes. Like, notable children of Zeus, who are mortal at least, are usually great heroes, and they're there to slay a creature or do something great. And it's, in terms of all of the psychology behind that, I can't speak totally for certain, but while he certainly could be seen as promiscuous, like, I don't think they viewed that as a negative thing in any way. Have I read the Metamorphoses by Apuleius? I don't know that one. The only Metamorphoses that I know is by Ovid. Apellius, I don't quite know. I don't think. Hold on. The Greek Family Tree 101, aka the Theogony. Yeah, we can definitely do the Theogony at some point, though I will, of course, warn that, like, the Theogony is not as fun as, like, the epics, because it's a little drier. Apuleius. Oh, the Golden Ass. Oh, the Metamorphoses. Morphoses. Oh, the Golden Ass. No, I totally forgot it has that second name. The end of them dies appeared to be Madarius something. I have read this. I've read parts of it. Now I remember. Yeah, I've read chunks of it. Okay, now I can say I have read chunks of this. I know it as the Golden Ass. That's why I was confused by it. How did godly blood feuds work with basically everyone being related to each other? They didn't Okay, wait, so, okay, hold on. Let me, um, gods didn't really have blood feuds with each other. Not really proper blood feuds with each other. The mortals might have blood feuds with each other, but the gods never really. The closest you get are things like the Titanomachia and stuff like that, in which case you get defeated and it sucks for you. Are there any stories of mortals committing great deeds that were. No, any mortal or a hero who commits great deeds is in some way related to a god. It's kind of part of the prerequisite. It's like somewhere in the family tree, there's a god. So it is sort of like a prerequisite. But godly blood feuds are not really a thing beyond something like, say, the Titanomachia. Um, and it's just sort of you get defeated and them's the breaks, son. The family tree's a spider web, yes. Or as we know, the massive tree that I have where it's like you have to find characters who bounce back and forth. If someone asks if you're a god, you say yes. A good runner and a good fighter. We must be talking about Achilles somewhere. When we get to the Iliad, we should do a drinking game. We drink every time Achilles is being a brat. You'd be drunk before the end of the first book. Just you'd be gone. It's the house of Oh, do you mean the house of Atreus? So that's Atreus, the house of Atreus, as we talk about. Are they the most complex family tree? No, probably not. But they are certainly a messy one. They are all messy as hell. When you get to the last couple generations, yeah, probably. A few dozen cats use as a toy. Yeah, ways to get alcohol poisoning 101. Drink every time Achilles is a brat. Oh my god, I would like my liver to not die. It's the Once Upon a Time family tree, yeah. Aww. Is it Jezik? 69? Thank you. Well, I'm glad it was helpful in some way. Thank you. That's a good question, Draco, actually. The vulgar commoner stories would be less likely to get written down. Well, if they didn't survive, then why would their story be great? I mean, you could say survivorship bias, but it's also like a lot of these heroes ended up getting worshipped in hero cults. You're not gonna like write about some average Joe who didn't go and slay a monster. Like to them, it's that's and these are all part of their religion. Like we're not talking folk heroes or anything. We're talking part of a religion. So what need kind of have they of folk heroes when their religion is so flexible? And there's nothing great about the average person. Like the Greeks were so aware kind of the unfairness of life in that way. Like the average dude who's not a hero, who's not a noble, because this is again kind of also a prerequisite of the heroes, like you're not worth writing about because who are you? You're a freeman, good for you, no one cares. So I think it's less survivorship bias and more just like how the religion functioned and also how the Greeks kind of viewed life. Like you weren't worth writing about. Even though, yes, you have stuff like Hesiod's Works and Days, which does talk a lot about kind of stuff sort of involving the average people. It's not nearly as interesting as something like the Theogony. It deals a little less with mythology, but just, yeah. Do you know much about Olympiads? Ericion of Figalia. Hold on. Oh, about Olympic athletes. I figured that's what that meant. I don't know that much about them. I will be totally honest and say I don't know that much. I own when I don't know shit. Yeah, Greek mythology is just one in a long line of like the prerequisite of being a Greek hero related to a god, in which case you are also a noble of some kind or a royal. You pour out libations for Paris. Why? Oh, he won his third championship in Pakration whilst dead? Did he die while winning it? Or did he win it like posthumously? That's pretty wild. I'll have to go look that up. That's fun. Yeah, what makes you great and above everyone? Again, that idea of, you could say, the Greeks recognizing the unfairness of life. They totally understood it was unfair and that there was hierarchy in the world. There's a kind of honesty to it. Now, you don't have to like it. They're not saying it's fair. They're just being like, well, here you go. People crushing watermelons with their legs. I think Homer would enjoy that. If he could see, because technically, according to the stories, he is blind. So really, how much would he enjoy it? Any more questions, either about the Odyssey for books 1 to 16, or general Greek myth questions? Oh my god. That's actually incredible. He died before winning because he got choked out, but broke his opponent's toe, ankle, and the other guy surrendered. Oh my god. So he did literally win posthumously. That's actually a wild story. I love that. I've never read too much about the ancient Olympic athletes, the Olympiads. You did, Mariana. You did. Jacob was telling me about it because I said I have admittedly not that read that much about the Olympiads, the ancient Olympic athletes. I really will admit to not knowing that much. I've never delved deep there. Yeah, there's really no Cinderella stories in Greek myth. You won't find those. On the god's knees seems to have been an ancient Greek proverb, which probably essentially translates to in the lap of the gods. Okay, G went down their own rabbit hole. No, they didn't get retconned. No, every single one of them starts out as a noble. Nah, they all start out as noble, even the earliest writings of them. You're never going to have any of these characters start in being just an average Joe. Because again, the society was such that they'd be like, what's special about him? And so you have to say, then what's special about him? Well, he's the son of a god. Okay, well then he's not an average Joe. He's clearly related to nobility. Were the Olympics real? Yes, the Olympic Games were a real thing. The Olympic Games were absolutely held in ancient times. What a nice discharge from the pit gift. Mariana's been in the hospital. If you Jacob, if you happen to know the show The Pit, recently won a bunch of Emmys. It takes place in an ER, an emergency room. There's no rags to riches, no Cinderellas. So everybody is noble. They're all starting from a position of privilege, even if they don't know it. There are definitely characters who don't know they are noble, but they find out very quickly and go to reclaim that heritage. Yes, we love the show. We have no Telepunzels. Absolutely none. None to be found here in the mythology. Yes, well, part of that is because her mother is punishing her for basically uh, being an extension of Agamemnon. Like, Clytemnestra hates all of her treats her other children terribly, because apparently they're not Iphigenia. Clytemnestra does some shit that's unhinged. Any translations for a Greek-English translation of like a dual-sided translation, or one that's just in English? Izzy. Because dual-sided I actually don't know of any off the top of my head. Unless you wanted to use the website Perseus, where you can find the Greek and then have an English translation with you. Ancient Greek parents being good to their kids? Lol. Well, it's because Agamemnon wasn't there. We all know it's all about the girl dad. What about Diomedes? Was he royal? Yes. Yes. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He's a king. He rolled up. No, Draco, stop. Someone spray Draco with water. Good parents in Greek myth? No. Dual-sided. That one I don't know. Yeah, so sadly, Izzy, I don't really know. Unless you wanted to go use something like the website Perseus, where they can give you English and Greek, but it's a website, so it's not really dual-sided unless you were to literally open them side by side. I can't remember who they do for their English translation. But yeah, so I will also say it's not just Greek language. You'd be looking at ancient Greek, and ancient Greek and modern Greek do have differences. So sadly, I actually don't know any dual-sided translations. If you were to find one, I bet it would probably be functioning as a textbook and would probably be expensive. Yeah, snap out of it. Butler, revised by Nagy and someone else. Okay, so actually I think that would be totally fine to do as a side-by-side. Would it be considered dishonorable behavior to pretend you were weak, a Telepunzel, to trick enemies to let their guards down before killing them? They certainly wouldn't love it, but no. But most people, here's the thing, most people wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. Honor is too important a thing. Like, how you are perceived by others is so important, especially to these Greek heroes. Like, look, Atlas exits out of the narrative. Not Atlas, Ajax the Greater, Telamonian Ajax, exits out of the narrative because he feels his honor has been impugned. Poseidon goes to Zeus, and Zeus lets him destroy Phaeacia. This place has exhibited immaculate beyond the bounds Xenia, and technically seemingly done nothing wrong because Poseidon's honor is impugned, right? By doing that, portraying yourself as weak, you're impugning your own honor. You'd never risk it. You just wouldn't risk it. For Greek speakers. Is it pulling an Odysseus? Odysseus never pretended while he's Odysseus to be weaker than he is. Now what he's doing right now, he's in disguise. Right? He's in disguise. So this is different. Again, this is a whole big exception. This is part of a deception to go in. But he's not going in there. And even his deception into Troy, where he goes in as an old beggar, he's not going to fight any Trojans. He's just doing intel. And even, say, the Polyphemus cave, where he lies and says, oh, but I've lost my ship, it was destroyed. He still said, yeah, I'm no one, but I have powerful friends. He's still saying I'm in a position of power. You'd never want to deliberately make yourself seem weak. That would get around and your honor would get fucked. Telamonian Ajax, my mans. I love him. I just call him the Buck Compton. He's a man who reaches his breaking point. It's just, he's so tragic. Ooh. With the Roman names? Boo. Boo. It sounds like a gap to be filled. Yeah, the good Ajax, not the shit heel version. Right. I don't fuck with Oilian Ajax, but Telamonian Ajax, that's my man's. My man's so big, so strong, it took the hide of an entire oxen to cover his shield. That's my man's. Butler translation, I believe Butler is in the public domain. I think that's why. I think he might be public domain. But it also had to get revised because he did it with like the Roman names and it was like, why? Somehow the Romans have returned. I know. The wrong Ajax exited the narrative. It's so true. Also true. The weakest god? None of them are weak. They're all extremely strong in different ways. So there's no one. Look. Let's put it this way. Other than Zeus, who is truly stronger than all the other Olympians combined, like Zeus is the pinnacle. Everyone else is on an even playing field, kind of. Well, to a degree, the Cronaides are then probably the strongest because they're older. So like Poseidon, Hades, Zeus, Hestia, Hera, Demeter, like they're next, and then after that you've got the next gen of Olympians, but beyond that they're all equally powerful. There's no like weakest. Modern day English and Old English are pretty removed from each other. Like Old English doesn't even sound like English. It was before, I think it had a lot more of the Germanic and Latin influence into it. Weak as God is Ares' ego. Admittedly, that's funny. That's funny.